It's a beautiful, perhaps a perfect day for racing in central Alabama. 82 degrees, just a few light fluffy clouds, not much of a breeze, just enough, and a lot of sunshine. The 43-car field rolls off, mindful of what happened here last fall. Upper left of your screen, Carl Edwards bump drafting the 16, his teammate Greg Biffle, and in the blink of an eye, most of the Roush Fenway fleet, along with a lot of other contenders, are taken out of the race. A bad result for Greg Biffle, and yet today Biffle lines up on the front row alongside Juan Pablo Montoya, who has his first oval track pole since coming to NASCAR from Formula One. Truex and Hornich with his best ever start since coming here from IndyCar in row 2. Clint Bowyer and Regan Smith, who nearly won this race last year, in row 3. And as we have a look at the rest of our starting lineup, Darrell, let's dial up Greg Biffle.
Hey, Greg Biffle, DW here. You got a copy, buddy?
Sir, DW, loud and clear.
Have you made any pre-race arrangements here with anybody, bud, to work with you today and try to keep you up front the way you are now?
Not really. Not a lot of guys. Just talked to the 77 behind us there, and told them I might run, up the top of the racetrack a little bit. Depends on how it gets going at the beginning there. If the top line has a little run, might run more up the racetrack and not give that middle groove a chance right out of the beginning.
How about in the team meeting yesterday or this morning, whenever you had it? Did you talk to your teammates, maybe thinking about what happened here last year?
Yeah, last year or yesterday, either one probably. Yeah, we're going to help each other the best we can, but be conscious of not, being too aggressive. I think that's the main thing, just bump drafting is a thing that we have to do. We just have to do it right.
All right, my friend. Well, have a great day. You've been running good. Keep her up front. Keep everything in your windshield or in your rearview mirror, and keep that windshield clean.
That's what I'm working on. Just happy that 3 and 4 Fusion qualified so well. The guys just doing a great job for me. Best restrictor plate car I've had in a few years, so I'm excited about today.
All right, roger that. Good luck.
Greg Biffle starting outside pole today. Make it a great race day with the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager.
Let's take a look at our FedEx Understanding the Race. What this is the trends or the patterns of the 8 spring races we've been doing NASCAR on Fox here. Number of cautions, average about 6. The last 4 races, we've had 8. In 2001, caution free. The first caution comes normally on the average about lap 35. In 2002, it went all the way to lap 116, normally the first caution for the first crash. The longest green run here, average about 82 laps. That's about double what a fuel run is, so we'll see probably 1 to 2 green flag stops at least. And the last caution, you can almost bank on it around lap 177, roughly 10 to go. Sometimes on the last lap, it's not unusual to have a green-white checkered here.
Not unusual. I thought it was a rule.
Well, it almost is. We had 2 in 05, we had 1 in 07, and we had 1 in 08, so it is. It's almost expected.
One car on pit road. I believe that's Scott Speed. And jacking up the left side of his car. Let's go down to our pit reporters and get late breaking stories. Chris Devoda.
Well, Mike, last week, Jeff Gordon turned in his worst performance of the year in Phoenix. He was sick, though. His back was killing him. His back has been an issue all year long. I talked with Andy Krupp, who's in charge of the inside of his race car. He said they thought about using lumbar bags or changing the angle of the seat. They did none of that. Jeff said he should be good here because it really only bothers him on the short tracks. Jeff did tell me the spasms continue, but he said here at Talladega, he is stronger than ever. Steve?
Well, Krista, all these drivers have spotters atop the roof here at Talladega. Their eyes in the sky. Now, for Ryan Newman, his spotter is his father, Greg. Greg told me this morning 2 things to consider here at Talladega. I've got to get information to Ryan very quickly. The holes close much quicker than they do at Daytona, and I have to tell him about the muscle coming behind him. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
On Saturday, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Cup spotter, TJ Majors, worked his Saturday gig with Brad Keselowski, so Dale Jr. had to go to the bullpen for his spotter, and he chose his cousin for the first time in his career. Tony Eury Jr. was a spotter for a NASCAR race. He learned a lot of different factors. The biggest issue for today that he feels like can help them go to victory lane, utilizing their second channel. Passing information, Dick Berggren, from the pits to the spotter, better to Dale Jr.
Well, three-time IndyCar Series champion Sam Hornish has had a rough introduction to big league stock car racing. Yesterday, however, he turned in his best time trial effort ever, 4th. Unfortunately, last night, he came down with a flu, caught it from his wife. He's been up sick all night long, been to the infirmary twice this morning to get IVs. He told me a few moments ago he's not sure he's going to make it all the way to the end of the race. So they have got a backup driver here ready to go in case Hornish can't finish.
Wow. Scott Speed made that pit stop, Larry, and he's going to be held for one lap.
Well, I think we need to explain the whole procedure here. This is an impound weekend, which basically means after qualifying yesterday, NASCAR impounds the cars. You cannot work on them. You put them out there and you race them with your qualifying setup. Scott Speed was one of the go or go home cars, top 35, locked into the show. The rule is you can change things on your car after the green flag is displayed. Jimmy Elledge brought that car to pit road. They were making changes that made the car run fast that wouldn't be good for the race. They will be penalized one lap for that.
Jeff Gordon in the year 2001 here from 36th starting position. So you can win from anywhere in the field. And no matter how much you've won before, Talladega has been fertile ground for drivers to get their first win. 9 drivers have their first win at Talladega, and these 7 drivers have their only career wins in what's now the Sprint Cup Series here at Talladega. That's our X-Men X Factor of the race. X-Men Origins Wolverine opens everywhere this Friday. Of those 7, Brian Vickers is in the race today, trying for his career win number 2. Today's race will go 500.1 miles, 188 laps.
And there you see it, pit road speed 55 miles per hour. The pit window for Sunoco Race Fuel, 42 to 46 laps. A lot of cars going to the rear for engine changes. You see Robbie Gordon, his car was too low. In post-qualifying inspection, his time was disallowed. One thing, if you look at those engines, all 4 of the Richard Petty Motorsports cars had to change engines. They came here with a little different package to be able to run more tape on the nose to help the drag, and it didn't work for them, so they had to change engine in all 4 of those cars.
Just real quickly on Jeff Gordon's back, you're going to have more back pain here than you are anywhere we go. Not from the physical
stress,
but from the stress.
Yeah.
How hard you hold, tight you hold on, and you got to keep that right foot planted. That runs right up to your back.
Another driver who might be a little bruised is Matt Kenseth. Now,
Yes,
David Reagan won the race yesterday. His Roush Fenway teammate was not so fortunate. Matt was unhurt, but that was a wild ride.
Yeah, and you know, when you see a car tumbling like that, the driver really is not taking a real hard beating inside the car. You're strapped in so tightly, as long as it keeps moving, it's dissipating energy. Doesn't hurt too bad.
80+ degrees, nearly cloudless skies, packed infield, and a very strong grandstand crowd. Ready to see the world's fastest speedway and what it has to unfold for 43 great drivers. Sorry, go ahead, Darrell.
Talking about how fast it is. 2 hours and 39 minutes and 18 seconds in 1987 or 97. Mark Martin, 188 mile an hour.
They head toward the Tri-Oval, and unlike Daytona, the start-finish line is not in the center of the Tri-Oval. It's way down past the exit of pit road, down toward turn 1. Many a race has been won or lost between this point right here and the start-finish line.
DW, she's big and she's bad and she's bold and she's fast. Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
Oh, this is one of those places, Larry, where we're going to do a lot of boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go Talladega racing, boys.
Speed still building in the back straightaway. Still 2 by 2.
And I know you won't believe this, but you already know how good you're going to run today, or at least how good your car is going to be today. Because how quickly you can get up to speed is very critical on how well you're going to run today.
It didn't take them long to stay 2 wide. Now they're 3 and 4 wide through the tri-oval. Juan Pablo Montoya, that 42 car, gets a push from his teammate Martin Truex Jr. He'll lead lap 1.
Yeah, and Matt Kenseth is running right up on the back of his teammate David Ragan. I assume he just wants David Ragan in front of him today, not behind him.
Now the outside groove led by Jeff Gordon with an assist from Matt Kenseth. But they are not gaining on that front pack on the inside. Excuse me, it's Biffle and Kenseth together on the outside.
Mike, a lot of these guys tell me that these cars, this COT car, really likes the middle lane, that it really performs well in the middle lane, and you can actually pass a lot of guys when you get with the right people in that middle lane. Kenseth is one that really likes his car in the middle.
And here he comes, straight up the middle.
And they say there's just a huge suck on this car from both sides, and it just pulls you right up to the front.
Junior and Biffle now in the middle lane. Hooked up trying to run down the front 4. 2 DEI Ganassi Chevrolets on point. Then a Richard Childress Chevy, and then the first Hendrick car is Mark Martin in 4th.
Just look at the run that group is getting on the high side. When you get lined up, you pick up speed. And now you see Greg Biffle's hung on the outside. Now he's getting some help, but look at the positions he lost.
When the outside really works is when the bottom is all clogged up and you get a little help around the outside and you can sail wide open and get by a lot of cars. A little tight yet to be making that work.
Cars that started on the inside of rows 1 through 4 are now running positions 1 through 4. It was the inside line that went first as Montoya continues to lead. And a lot of folks wondering, can the former Formula 1 and IndyCar star win in a stock car at Talladega?
He's won at Monaco. He's won at Indy. Can he win at Talladega?
Well, I think most of these guys will tell you he can win anywhere if he's got a good car. But it's really much easier here than anywhere else we go if you've got a fast car.
You can see right there the push that he was getting off into turn 3 by his teammate Martin Truex Jr. 197 miles per hour. Now we're seeing Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 get that push by Denny Hamlin in the 11.
2 cars, I don't know why, 2 cars can get a lot better run on that outside than a group of cars can. It's just something about 2 cars running together on the outside really makes a lot of speed.
It looked like Mark Martin went up to pick up Junior, and by the time he got to the top lane, Junior was long gone. Now it's Junior and his former teammate Martin Truex trying to take the lead from Montoya.
It's like when you run that high line, especially coming off turn 2, especially if you've got 3 or 4 cars, or in the case of this, maybe 10 cars lined up, you get such a run down that back straightaway.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. goes to the lead at Talladega. Denny Hamlin is his wingman. They don't get any closer than just like that. And Junior Nation filling this Talladega grandstand comes to life. This is what they came to see.
If you're within 30 miles of the speedway, it's not an earthquake. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is leading.
And let me tell you, if he's going to make the chase, it's got to start today.
Darrell, you talked about him in the pre-race show. I just believe, I know this is only one race, but I think if he comes out of here with a good race, you know what, it's going to build momentum. If he does not have a good race, it possibly is going to just bust that momentum.
4 wide mid-pack with Bobby Labonte up top. Now they break back to 3 abreast, and the lead will change again. Montoya has picked up Truex, and the outside line moves. Krista.
Mike, the only thing Juan has said on the radio, he asked if he should let the 1 lead a lap. Brian Petty said, hold on, let's let this thing get strung out. We don't have to do it yet. Montoya's ready to go, but he's also thinking like a teammate, trying to get Truex those 5 points.
You can think like that when you're leading the race. You know, you got a lot of time to think when there isn't anybody in front of you.
He's not the leader for long because Truex with Kenseth and Jeff Gordon in the middle, and here comes Ragan. Yesterday's winner David Ragan in the number 6 with rookie Joey Logano up top. Where'd Logano come from? That would be 22nd.
They worked together yesterday. It was Logano that actually gave Reagan the shot that he needed to get to the lead to win the race yesterday. Oh, goodness. Boy, Jeff Gordon.
And around.
He's
Car to the wall.
I think that was
Here
Jeff
we
Gordon.
go. Here we go. 8, 9, 10 cars. Mark Martin's involved.
Man, you hate to see this early in the race.
I believe Jeff Gordon was the first car sent
It came up on me.
up and into the wall. Somebody.
Somebody hit Jeff, and that guy started it. Look at that. Looks like a junkyard.
All right, boys. Let's go to the garage, see if we can get it fixed.
It's because it is. Oh,
Boyer.
Clint Boyer all torn up. Scott Riggs is in it. Jamie McMurray, Kevin Harvick, Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, and more.
Let's see
Now
let's see where Jeff Gordon is here, because you see the smoke first when he makes contact with someone.
And it's the car to his inside. Now here's Gordon. Here's Matt Kenseth. Watch the two of them and see if there's a puff of smoke.
Looks like Jeff has got cars on the inside of him, on the outside of him. Oh, and Kenseth just looks like he was leaving a little room on the bottom and moved up a tad and got into Jeff.
Casey Kane involved.
Oh, I think
Allmendinger.
Listen, when the field went by, there were only about half. It's only about half a field left.
You can see right there, Matt Kenseth just gets into that left front of Jeff Gordon, and Gordon goes up and gets in the side of the 71. Gilliland, nowhere for Kurt Busch to go. Brian Vickers, and they just stack up from there.
Look, that's a six-pack into the wall, just all in one move.
And this is the way the big one works at Talladega. I saw cars running in the top 5 that were involved, cars running outside the top 25 that were involved.
Yeah, I hate that. The old Pepsi Challenger is getting opened up like a can of Pepsi.
Got Gilliland as he went around, who spun down off the nose of the 2.
Harvick. And look at Mark. Mark took a heck of a ride in the 5 car.
Now Casey Kane has climbed out of his car. He's okay. It's going to be easier to list the cars that were not involved.
Mike, when they went by here, and of course we'll see them on the track out here, that's half the field.
Most of the cars in the low groove up until then. Oh, Boyer took a hard shot after contact from Gilliland.
So did the 71. I mean, there are cars that were getting pounded in this wreck.
Let's look out from behind Jeff Gordon. That's Kurt Busch.
Man, just like that.
And again. And again.
We're done. We're done. Completely junk. Kenseth came up on me.
Let's ride with Kevin Harvick.
Go low, go low, go low. Stand. We're in the boys.
And let's ride with Casey Kane.
Stay low. You can low. We got in a minute. Hard on the right side, right front. Right at the left side door. You all right, bud?
I'd like to see the Kevin Harvick angle once again and watch Jeff Gordon's car and see if it gets loose, Darrell, before the contact.
Jeff Gordon is right up in here.
Kurt Busch behind him. He jumps out a little.
I think this is just that's just the contact from the 17 car
that was the
shot
first
him
contact.
to the right.
You're right.
Exactly what caused that. These cars are, I mean, there's a bunch of cars that are taking a pounding in this wreck.
Pick your favorite driver and
Here they
watch
are
how
right
it
back
unfolds
here, and here
for
we
him.
go. Into the 71, the 24 into the 71. Here comes McMurray. Here comes Harvick. Mark's on the bottom. 36 car. Here comes the 9. The 44 piles in.
Bobby Labonte, nice job to get on the brakes and miss it.
Mike, I just counted 21 cars that went by here without damage.
Which is half the field.
And Jeff Gordon, you heard him say on the radio, we're done for the day. He's climbing out.
Yeah, that car got hit multiple times.
Pit road is now open. Let's begin with yesterday's winner, David Ragan and Dick Bergman.
Well, they're going to take 2 tires and put fuel in Reagan's car, and certainly to win the race here at Talladega, you have got to avoid those kinds of problems. So far, so good for the young 23-year-old driver. Matty.
Martin Truex Jr., three-time winner here in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. He is in. No major chassis adjustments for the one, just 4 tires. To Krista.
Brian Patty reminding Juan his team is dressed in blue this week. The Tums dual action Chevy. They said they'll stick with their plan and go with 4. Do you want it tighter, Juan? He said, no, my car is a rocket.
David Reagan will win Joey Logano wins the Verizon race off pit road with Reagan, Truex, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Montoya.
I think all they did to that 20 car was just put a little bit of fuel in him to fill him up. No tire changing on that car, it looked like.
Well, Darrell, the big one didn't take until lap 8 to unfold.
Yeah, I hate it when it happens early like this. It just ruins the race for everybody.
First caution of the day, a little work on Carl Edwards. Clareton Ford. During this one, everybody has been on and off pit road at least once. Bobby Labonte got a little piece of it. Looked like he'd stopped to avoid it, but he got a bit, and so did Kyle Busch. Let's go back. Here are the cars involved in the wreck. This is in numerical order for the drivers involved with significant damage. Some, like Casey Kane's car, are headed for the garage. Matt Kenseth may have come up a little, but also it looks like Jeff Gordon came down a little as they got to turn number 3.
Yeah, it looks like the 71 car way up on the outside there. We're alongside of Jeff, and then it looked like that the 17 bumped into the back of the one, maybe caused him to move up a tad as Jeff was moving down a tad, and then we had a mess.
I mean, you could analyze this wreck till the end of the race. It's just Talladega.
And there's the 17 right behind the 1. And he comes up as Jeff comes down to make a little room. There's not enough room for both of them. One driver who I think took the hardest hit of all, Clint Bowyer, is released from the care center and with Dick Berggren.
Yeah, and he has finished 81 in a row in this series. Can you get back out on the racetrack?
Oh, man, I don't know. I think it was pretty tore up when I got out of it, but just unfortunate. You know, the BB&T Chevrolet was strong. Guys worked hard to bring fast cars, and, you know, I don't know what happened. It's just racing way too hard, way too early.
Is everybody okay in the care center?
I think so.
Okay, thank you.
Look at that hard hit into the outside safer barrier for the 33. Among a lot of hard hits, 3 of Richard Childress's 4 cars were involved and likely done for the day.
Yeah, the 5, the 71, the 44. I mean, they took hard driver's side licks.
But I think there will be a tremendous amount of work going on in the garage area this early in the race. When you look at it, that's about half of our teams and drivers in the top 12, and a lot of guys fighting like Mark Martin to get in the top 12.
Well, if you can get your car fixed and get back out there and make any kind of keep minimum speed up, look at all the cars you could put be ahead of.
One more lap would make a big difference.
One more lap, yeah.
Right now, we have 9 cars that completed only those first few laps as repairs are made to the safer barrier. Now, ride with Jimmy Johnson and see how he gets through here.
Yeah, because this is all right up in front of him. As you see it starting to unfold. Cars going everywhere.
In front of you.
He's on the apron. Oh, man. Oh, man. That was so close.
And I know, talking to Chad Knaus, that was their big concern about that qualifying run, was starting back there.
So close for Jimmy Johnson, yet so hard for his teammate Jeff Gordon. Dick?
Well, Jeff Gordon has come out of the care center, and the winningest active driver here at Talladega, the point leader. Is there any chance at all you can get that car back out?
Well, I know these guys are certainly going to work real hard at it. It's unfortunate. I think this is the same way this Pepsi Challenger ended up in '83, so it sure did look good. It was driving good, and we were having, a good time there. I was actually working well with Matt, getting up to the front through the middle, and I'm not really sure what happened. I was just kind of cruising along there in the middle. Matt got up there, I think, behind maybe the 11, and he went low. And so I was just cruising on up the middle, and I don't know if somebody got to the inside.
How about we show it to you?
Sure. Yeah,
here we go.
Kind of saw it there, but I'd like to see a different angle maybe. If I could talk to somebody in the truck. But, it just...
There's your different angle.
Yeah. Yeah, Matt went down with the 1 car. And I guess what it was is whoever that was on the inside. I don't think, when there just wasn't enough room. When he got underneath Matt came up, and I was already there.
Sorry to meet you here. We thought we were going to meet you in Victory Lane possibly next time.
Yeah, and I was hoping he wouldn't remember that 83 race, too.
Steve Burns.
Mike, with Mark Martin. Mark's just gone and patted his teammates on the back, and you had a chance to just watch the replay as your teammate Jeff Gordon was speaking. Your race car, unfortunately, is a mess.
Yeah, it is, and I hate that for our Kellogg's CarQuest team. It was really a sweet race car, but they seem to be experts at building them. So I'm sure they'll come back with another great one. And you know, we had a great weekend last weekend. I'm gonna stop short of complaining and be thankful for the good stuff, and look forward to climbing back in that thing next weekend.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
An early exit for at least 9 drivers, including 2 from Hendrick Motorsports and 3 from Richard Childress. We're ready for our third and clear drive restart with third and clear indoors and out. We'll complete 13 laps at the line, and we're back under green.
Well, we are, and this is a great opportunity for somebody that hadn't won a race this year to maybe win a race this year.
There is quite a number of them at the front of the pack right now.
Eight of the top 10.
A lot of them that's never won a race.
Exactly. 8 of the top 10, I think I just noticed, have not won a race this year or ever won a race.
Boy, Martin Truex Jr. in that one car getting a push from his ex-teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. They'll just drive around Joey Logano.
You're just going to drive away. You're going to be.
These fellows have been longtime friends. They've been roommates. They're good buddies. They trust each other. They like each other. And bye-bye. They're gone, at least for the moment.
Well, you'll get out there like that, but it won't take long to this pack to line up behind them and chase them right back down. You just cannot get away.
I know it's a little early, and we got a lot of good race cars out there, but I think with the way this thing has played out already, this is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s race to lose. I think he's got a great opportunity here to cash in, because we know he's got a fast race car.
Yes, sir.
Truex leads lap 14. Let's go back to the care center, Dick Bergman.
Well, Kevin Harvick is actually out of the care center, Mike. He has been watching the crew trying to repair his car. Believe it or not, they're going to get it. They think they're going to get it back on the racetrack. What did it look like to you out there?
You know, just from the replays is all I could see. You know, I saw the 24 go sideways and just looked like 17. I don't know if he actually got told that the 24 was out there, but hard to tell. Just a lot of guys, a lot of smoke, and just kind of a typical way to finish this last month off for the Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet.
Well, the good news is everybody is out of the care center. Everybody is okay. Steve?
Casey Kahne is okay, Dick. And Casey, looking, there's a lot of torn up race cars here in the garage. How bad is your number 9?
It's pretty good. It's pretty torn up. Yeah, I think they'll get it fixed. The guys work really hard, and we'll get our Budweiser Dodge back out there. But it's pretty torn up, and disappointing that early in the race, but it's kind of what it is. I don't know. This track's so smooth. There's so much racing room. You're running 3 and 4 wide, simple. And then if somebody makes one mistake, you know, there's a lot of cars can go down.
Unfortunately, yours was one of them. Thanks, Casey.
All right.
It's kind of like dancing. Dancing
really?
Dancing real simple until somebody steps on your foot. It's kind of what it reminds me of.
Jimmy Johnson up with his Hendrick teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. Joey Logano on the inside, watching from David Reagan. How about last time around? You'd think this big crash would settle everybody down.
Never has.
How about David Reagan and Juan Pablo Montoya? Have a look at them. The 42 and the 6 with Paul Menard in the 98 one lap ago.
My goodness.
Wham.
See how loose that 42 got when the 6 hit him in the back.
Yeah, Reagan gave him a little shot there. I guess they were going to try to get around Logano in the 20 car, and man, that isn't the way you do it. You know, Reagan had a little incident yesterday. He gave his teammate a shot. Got to be a little more careful. There's a little softer touch there.
Denny Hamlin getting a little bit of a bump and a boost from Kurt Busch. In practice, Hamlin went out with his rookie teammate Joey Logano, who's running third right now, and Hamlin shoved Logano all over the racetrack so Joey would know the feel of the catch and release of a car bump drafting with him at these speeds in these cars. And since it was practice, NASCAR told him to knock it off.
Yeah, and we were up here just about to jump out of the booth. I talked to Denny after practice, and he said he talked to Joey, and Joey said it wasn't bothering him a bit. He didn't know why NASCAR was upset.
You know, I've been watching the outside line riding with Michael Waltrip in the 55 car, just right up through the middle. And, you know, Michael told us on our trackside show on Speed Friday night, he said, I know I can win this race on Sunday.
Well, he needs to. Yesterday had a bad day. You know, he's had a couple of bad weekends here. He needs to get it going, and this will be a great opportunity.
18 of 188 laps complete. Martin Truex Jr., Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Montoya with that push from Hamlin goes back into the lead. Let's go back to the garage and Steve.
Mike, Jamie McMurray also caught up in the big one, and Jamie, trouble early. There's a lot of damage to that 26. So glad you're okay, but how's that race car?
The Crown Royal Ford Fusion, it might be done. We're going to try to go out and at least run one lap to see if you can gain a couple of spots. But pretty big accident, and I don't know, the steering is so messed up, I don't know if they'll be able to get it back out.
Glad you're all right.
Thanks.
And guys, that's the issue now. I mean, you can get your car patched up, but we do have a minimum speed, and you can't just go out there and ride around in the way. You've got to run a relatively fast speed to be able to stay on the racetrack.
9 cars are in the garage as a result of that crash. Here comes Kurt Busch to lead.
And how about Jeff Burton in that 31 car? He actually had a little bit of damage from that wreck, and here he's up there on the inside battling for the lead.
Usually take a damaged race car, it'll run pretty good when it's in a draft. But when you get out front, if it'll run good out front, you don't have any significant damage.
"20 laps complete this time by. This is the battle for the lead. Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch, each trying to gain some advantage and stay out front. Jeff Burton leading Denny Hamlin, but they're 3 abreast, so how can you tell? Kurt Busch in there as well. Here's a question from Ask.com, official search engine of NASCAR. Get the answer now at Ask.com and enter the Ask.com NASCAR Challenge for a chance to win daily prizes and a trip to the track here at Talladega.
See, when you're a driver, you know what you're thinking right now. Well, we can have some fun now. All those guys that were going to wreck have already wrecked, so we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Well, Darrell, I think there's a couple of guys that may still be anticipating that we're not done yet. I've been watching them for the last few laps. They're kind of back there just lingering behind this big group. And it's Tony Stewart in that 14 car and his teammate Ryan Newman in the 39. I think they're exactly where they want to be right now, just kind of hanging out in the back.
Yeah, I kind of applaud that strategy, but man, sometimes when you're back there, you know, you can see the wreck, and that's the problem. It'd be better if you could see it in your rearview mirror.
Hey, several years ago at Daytona, Tony Stewart was up near the front of the pack, got caught up in a wreck. His teammate Bobby Labonte was hanging out way out behind it. They ended up one on top of the other.
Exactly.
So there's no safe strategy here. Well,
you can't stop these cars. You know, they're going 190 miles an hour. You don't run the big aggressive brake package here. You run a pretty small brake package. You're not going to stop the car.
Now, of the 9 cars involved in the crash, 4 are reported out of the race by NASCAR. The rest are reported off track and under repair. We'll update that for you in a bit, as some of those drivers want to go out and at least make a few laps and move up in the running order. Now, Kyle Busch, we saw a little bit of damage to the back of his car. Where else and what else, Matt?
Mike, he had significant cosmetic damage, especially in the right rear quarter panel area. It was completely ripped open. A couple layers of Bear Bond. They've repaired that. They repaired the right front bumper area. They really couldn't do much with the bumper in the back. You can see how that's still pushed open, but Busch really hasn't made any comments about the handling of the car. Twice in practice, Mike, he went from the back to the front. He's trying to do it for a 3rd time here in the race.
And they're not going to worry about that rear bumper being tucked up under there like that. That's actually an advantage. You get that rear bumper up out. Matter of fact, there was a time when a guy's rear bumper fell off intentionally.
Bobby Allison, Daytona 500. Bumpergate was the resultant investigation.
I tell you what, here is a guy that I am so happy for today, Joe Nemechek. He's been one of the go homers all year long. He's made all but 2 races. He's got a little bit of sponsorship from the Maui Shower Company that makes portable showers, and here he is running up in the top 5. This could be an opportunity for him to really cash in today.
Well, he said yesterday on our speed qualifying show, he said, I'd just love to get a sponsor so we can run all day and put on a good show for somebody. That prayer got answered.
And you know what? Good things happen to good people. He left here Friday after practice and flew all the way back to North Carolina for his daughter for a father-daughter dance, and then came back for qualifying.
Got something going on with the 31, Mike. I think Krista knows what it is.
Yeah, DW, Jeff Burton just came on the radio and said, guys, I have no volts, everything's shut down, I've got nothing. Scott Miller just said, get the battery ready.
Loss of electric power. Now, he and Denny Hamlin were just pounding the crap out of each other.
Are backing it down.
Could they have knocked something loose that's preventing the electrical system from functioning properly?
They were hitting each other hard enough, you know, to knock the battery cable loose or any number of things. But they were banging on each other.
You know, the one thing, and I'm sure Krista will dig into this a little deeper, a lot of teams, a lot of cars have a backup battery that you can just go to, but it sounds like they possibly did not have one in this car.
Caution's out.
Debris on the racetrack.
Larry, he didn't stop in his pit. I think I heard him say, I'm back. I think he said, I got it back.
Well, you know what? That would have been a good move regardless, though, with the caution coming out.
Now it's back down to 8.
Back down to 8 volts on the meter. That's not good.
But this caution, I'm going to tell you, it's a great benefit for that 31 car.
It is if it doesn't stop over on the back straightaway.
Piece of debris from this bumping and banging, and perhaps from the lap 8 crash, is up against the wall about 300 yards past the start-finish line. If we can get the cause, we'll be glad to show it to you, but it puts us under the second caution flag of the day. There it is up against the wall, center of your screen.
Right in there.
Yep. Not sure if that's metal or a big pile of the tape that was on the nose of Joe Nemechek's car, perhaps.
And you know who else isn't sure? NASCAR isn't sure, and so they have to throw the caution to make sure.
As you have witnessed, there's no such thing as out of the groove here. The entire racetrack, top to bottom's the groove. I think this comes at a very timely time, as far as I think you'll see most everybody come to pit road, probably get 4 fresh tires, fill it up with Sunoco race fuel, and good to go for a while.
Yeah, and some of the cars that maybe still have a little minor damage, chance to work on those, and trying to get the old Pepsi Challenger patched back up. The Bud car, it's looking a lot better. It's got a hood on it.
Yeah, it didn't when it came in.
But these guys really have to critique what they're doing here, because NASCAR only gives you one opportunity to get the car right out there.
There you go. There's what flew off of.
That is a big chunk of tape, and I believe that is off Joe Nemechek's
I think
car.
It's actually Regan Smith, the 78
Oh, excuse
car.
me,
Yeah,
Regan Smith.
Yep.
Yep.
We saw a lot of damage on his car. Now what's going on here, the battery is located in front of the left rear tire, and so they're changing that battery out. It has a quick disconnect. You can about do it here normally and not lose a lap.
Pit road's open. Dick?
Matt Kenseth says a clean drive in. He was running in the second position when that caution flag came out. Upside down yesterday in the nationwide race. Things are going well for him today. He's got a little bit of cosmetic damage in the car, Steve.
Kurt Busch says that number 2 car is good, Dick. Put a little tape off the grill. 4 tires for Kurt Busch and a wedge adjustment, Matt.
No changes for Kyle Busch in the 18, just right side tires and 1 can of fuel, Krista.
4 tires for Jimmy Johnson. Chad Canal said, how is your car? Jimmy said, quote, it feels like a dream.
Boy, Elliott Sadler jumps right out there, picking up 4 positions. Now, Matt Kenseth had a quick stop, but he got pinned behind cars coming onto pit road and didn't have a clear lane to get down there in a hurry.
He killed the engine, tried to leave the pit box, and I got him behind.
35 laps complete in Talladega. Green flag. Kyle Busch, Elliott Sadler, Michael Waltrip, Matt Kenseth, and Martin Truex, the front 5.
See Michael Waltrip there in the 55 car, one of the cars that elected to go with just 2 right side tires, like a lot of the guys at the front of the pack right now on that last caution.
A lot more damage on that 18 car than I thought there was. The whole right side of it, particularly over the right rear tire, is all taped up. I don't think it's going to cause him any problem, but certainly not as good as they'd like it to be.
Busch holds the lead. Waltrip second. Mostly 3 wide off into turn 1.
Just looks like that bottom line is moving right now with Kyle Busch taking them along.
Yeah, David Stremme was trying to bring that outside lane to them in his number 12, but even with help from his teammate Kurt Busch, they're not gaining ground.
And Mikey's just, I'm sure he's looking in his rear view mirror saying, I wonder who's going to run into me today. Because he got run into yesterday and turned around twice at Phoenix last week. He just needs to get through this race with no problems.
How about that 82 car on the bottom there? Remember what looked like a total disaster for that group where they were penalized a lap before the green flag came out. He was so far behind the big wreck, he didn't get involved. And then he got the free pass back on the lead lap, and now he's up there running in the top 10. Scott Speed.
Kyle Busch, David Ragan, Dale Earnhardt Jr. now running third and coming to the front.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager.
37 of 188 laps this time by, and still the 3 wide. Racing at 190 miles an hour continues as it has since the green flag. 2 cautions, the big one at lap 8 and a quick debris caution at lap 30.
You know, you just can't help but do this. You know, you would like to get in single file. You'd like to, you know, settle down, but you can't. You got a fast car. You got a car that can run up front. You got to find a way to get it there. And everybody's in pretty equal cars, so you end up with them wadded up like this. Unless you're like maybe Carl Edwards or somebody. And this is the same strategy, I think, Larry, if I recall. There goes Carl at the back of the field. I think this is the same strategy he used here last year. But then late in the race, when he decided it was time to go, is when he actually got in a wreck with his teammate, Greg Biffle.
A lot of the Roush Fenway cars did that. Then a lot of the Roush Fenway cars were involved in that big wreck.
One of the cars that's been involved in that crash and had some nose damage. Report from Dick Berggren.
Well, Tony Stewart is one of those. He came in as one of the pre-race favorites, Mike, having led the most laps in both races here last year, winning the second of the 2, and the crew has been working on a piece of sheet metal that they hope to attach to the nose of Stewart's car on the next pit stop.
I just believe that group of cars running right there, Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle, I don't think we've heard the last of them. They're going to let this thing wind down for a while.
Oh, but I tell you, I like those 2 young guys on the inside. I like Kyle and I like David Ragan. And you got and right behind him you got Sam Hornish. But I think these young guys, this kind of racing is just what they love.
And just remember, Dick Berggren told us early in the race, Sam Hornish Jr. pretty sick. He actually has Travis Quapple standing in the pits in case he needs relief.
Kyle Busch holds the lead. Here comes Jimmy Johnson with help from Stremme. Let's check with Matt.
Busch told his team, we're going to change our strategy. We're going to ride in the back to stay out of the big one because we got involved in it. Let's go to the front. It's much safer up there. It's been the Kyle Busch comedy tour, Mike. Earlier in the race, he said, jokingly, please pass on to the 14. Do I need to buy him some new brakes the next time we go to a plate race because he's been pushing me pretty hard. They all did it in a joking way, but he also said, look, we're out front. The thing we need to do the next time in, we need to add some tape to the grill because we are running way too cool. That'll help us gain more speed.
Ooh, that's bad news if you're a competitor. He's leading the race here with, and you can add a little tape, and that is instant speed, baby. That'll make you pick up.
Tape on the nose where the air goes into the cool water in the radiator, it really reduces the drag straightaway speed on these things.
Last year, Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart were teammates at Joe Gibbs Racing, and they won both the restrictor plate races at Talladega, 1 apiece.
Look at that 82 car, Larry. Scott Speed.
Second on the inside, so he'll be one of our Toyota top performers of the moment.
I mean, it was obvious Scott Speed had a fast race car. He qualified 8th, but going back to the beginning of the race, they came to pit road. They worked on the car, which you cannot do before the green flag of an impound race. And boy, Jimmy Johnson, that 48 car, he had his hands full, didn't he, off turn 4?
I think Junior may have given him a little bit of a love tap.
But Darrell, these last 10 laps, that inside lane has been impossible to beat. You can't dislodge Kyle Busch from the lead as long as he hugs that double yellow line.
I think that tells you he's got a pretty fast car. When you can do that, tow everybody around on the bottom like that, that tells you he's got a pretty fast car.
Here comes Montoya, the pole sitter in the right of your picture. Okay, the left, the right. There he is. He's over there somewhere.
In the middle.
With Brian Vickers.
But you know, when I look at that inside line right now, the cars that are lined up behind Kyle Busch. We talked about Scott Speed, the rookie in the 82 car. How about Brad Keselowski, drives for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the Nationwide Series? We feel like somewhere in the future.
Trouble, guys, in the tri-oval. Michael
Waltrip.
Michael cut down in front of somebody. I think he's going to save it, brother, save it.
He did.
All right.
He did save it.
Wow, what a save.
What a save.
Hold on, watch out now, watch out.
Caution's out.
Slow down, don't tear your fenders off.
That was unbelievable.
He cut down in front of somebody back here.
Most awesome piece of driving right there. Woo. Nice save, Michael. I'm wanting to put myself in that spot. I thought I had him cleared. I didn't.
He thought he had let's see who it was he thought he had cleared. He's going to cut down here in front of somebody.
Marcos Ambrose, his teammate.
Goodness gracious, his teammate.
That old big blue wall was coming up in a hurry, though, wasn't it?
But see how he backed off? He's sliding. He's headed for the wall. He backs off the brakes. Car bites, and he saved it.
Michael Waltrip,
hey, Mikey,
a wild ride and a
DW.
great save. Darrell.
Hey, Mikey, it's DW. You got a copy, buddy? Well, we had him.
10-4.
Mikey, it's DW. You got a copy, bud?
Yeah, bro. What's up?
Do you have any idea how close you came to those two walls?
Yeah, but I knew it was close, but when it wound up going in the right direction, it felt pretty cool, actually.
I know you didn't close your eyes because we could tell you were driving that thing even when she's in a four-wheel slide. Great job, man.
Thank you. They stacked up in front of me there. The two looked like you really about got out of whack, and I just thought I had room to the inside, and my teammate was in there. Nothing he could do. I drove across his hood. So we'll just line up here in the back and go back up there and get some more.
All right, we'll keep a camera isolated on you from now on.
Keep green.
Going green with our clear it and clear to drive restart. Get clear it and clear. Get back to feeling like yourself again. Kyle Busch getting back to feeling like leading again. Brad Keselowski, Jimmy Johnson, Casey Mears, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the front five.
And we have 33 cars on the lead lap. Jeff Burton, who had led this race, you saw him earlier on pit road. After he led, changing the battery, they've been back to pit road the last two cautions. With the hood up, he's now 2 laps down in the 31.
Krista?
Yeah, Jeff Burton was just hanging on for dear life. You saw him make that battery change back on lap 29. They lifted the hood again to change the alternator, and they found an alternator belt, interestingly, on the 07 car back in the garage mirrors. They thought it might belong to the 31, so they got another alternator ready. They changed it. Jeff said it must have worked because his volts were up to 14. So Jeff said, I don't know if it's the right decision, but it's definitely working for now.
Well, the good news for him is he would be the first car to get the free pass, even though he's 2 laps down, because we do not have a car 1 lap down right now.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to have a couple of cars that might be in trouble here because they just passed below the yellow line and advanced their position.
Brian Vickers and the 11 of Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, they jumped around the 09 there of Brad Keselowski and not Brad Keselowski. Here you go, watch this.
That is Brad
Keselowski, yeah. They jumped by him because he was real slow in the middle there, but I guess we're back up front. I don't guess there's a foul there.
Well, NASCAR is reviewing. Dale Jr. going to the lead.
The roar you hear is that 88 car. He is taking her to the front, being pushed by Martin Truex Jr. in the 1. And they are on their feet in Talladega.
And Truex's teammate, pole sitter Juan Montoya, right with them. Then rookie Joey Logano and series champ Jimmy Johnson.
Well, that 1 in the 42, they are bad fast. Now I tell you, they can boogie.
And they've been fast ever since these cars unloaded on Friday.
And no surprise, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated, even though it's now merged with Chip Ganassi, DEI has a great history of bringing rocket sled restrictor plate cars to Talladega.
Well, and Darrell and I were talking yesterday during qualifying. Remember, you have the Earnhardt Childress engines that supply the engine for DEI with Ganassi and Childress, and their stuff, all the cars seem like they were just really running here.
Yeah, this is the best I've seen Childress's cars and also the DEI cars, the former DEI cars, the Ganassi cars.
48 laps complete, this time by Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the lead. Jeff Hammond can tell us more at the Ford Cutaway car about what they did to help Jeff Burton.
Well, Mike, what was going on was we saw them come down pit road and they changed the battery. Well, the battery is basically a storage compartment as far as alternator and energy is concerned on a racetrack, on a race car. What they were having problems with, it was this unit right here, the alternator itself. And they were talking about the belt. Here's the belt is the way it's located and the way it runs around the water pump and is run off the engine itself. But if the alternator is not putting out any kind of voltage, then the battery can't store it. I mean, the battery only helps you for a little while if the alternator quits, and that's what they had to work on to keep that race car running. The battery was not going to be able to sustain it. They run a small battery, doesn't have a lot of reserve power, so they had to work on that to keep the 31 up to power.
Thanks, Jeff. Matt Kenseth leads a lap, and Darrell, this looks like the last lap at Talladega, not just the 50th lap.
Well, look at these guys back in here. I mean, we're talking 4 wide back in this pack back here. That's just almost an ingredient for big-time disaster. Look at them. They're 4 wide, dicing, slicing. Something was, the 2 was up front leading the race. What happened to him, Burns?
Darrell, they were on borrowed time. They got some accident from that first big wreck. You're right, it wasn't that long ago they were leading the race. The entire rear bumper panel is gone. It's back in the garage. There's Bear Bond on this number 2 car, and she's just riding around right now. The whole rear bumper is gone, as you can see right there.
Well, as long as he can stay back there in the draft, his car doesn't really realize it's that beat up. It's just, it would be hard to be out front with the car like that.
And that tubing, that's the functional part of that bumper. It's intact. So NASCAR is not requiring him to come in and make a repair.
Well, like I said earlier, and I'm not to repeat myself, but that rear bumper being off there doesn't hurt a thing. Now, the front bumper being off, that's a different story.
Kenseth in yellow trying to hold the lead against Earnhardt on the outside with Hamlin.
I'll tell you what, when I look at Matt Kenseth leading this race, I think that just says so much for these race car drivers. You saw it earlier in the race. Remember, in yesterday's Nationwide Series race, he was barrel rolling and flipping down the back straightaway, and here he is leading the race here today.
He's leading it right until now. Junior forges ahead on the outside.
Well, they've been swapping the lead back and forth for about the last 2 laps. Dale Earnhardt Jr. keeps getting the push from Denny Hamlin in the 11 car.
You know, you talk about Matt Kenseth. I mean, a race car driver's mentality is that was yesterday.
Right.
Tomorrow, I don't worry about tomorrow. I'm living a present right now.
52 laps complete. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the leader. 20 lead changes so far in Talladega.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing is sponsored by Pepsi. Try the refreshingly retro taste of Pepsi Throwback, made with natural sugar, in stores now. By Napa Auto Parts, Napa, get the good stuff. By Taco Bell, think outside the bus. And by AT&T, your world delivered.
56 laps complete. In the fastest speedway on earth, Jeff Gordon may be getting ready to come back into the race. That'd be a good time to start playing Race Day Payday, presented by Pepsi. Each race you could win the same cash prize as the winning driver. Go to PepsiRacing.com for all rules and details and make your picks for next week's race. Meanwhile, the complexion of this race has really changed. Once Dale Jr. got out front, he became the Pied Piper. And instead of 3 wide all the way around the track, it is single file all the way around the track.
Larry, did I miss something? Did some signal go out that they should all line up and
This
ride
is
around
not the first
top?
time this has happened, though.
No, I know, but who made this call? I guess the 88, huh?
Well, his teammate Jimmy Johnson riding there in 7th. Let's check at his pit. Krista?
Well, Mike, in my section here on pit road, I was actually in Jimmy Johnson's pit. I saw all the crew guys throw on the helmets. Quickly, I switched over to Jimmy Johnson's radio channel and heard Chad Knauf say, Jimmy, if you want to bring it in, bring it in. Jimmy thinks something is loose, possibly a wheel. He's saying right now something in the corners is loose, slowly getting worse.
And we're
not gotten straight away yet, so that kind of reminds me of a wheel, but I just don't know. It's kind of stabilized, but it's doing it both ends.
And we're about 30 laps away from what would be a green flag pit stop. And I know Chad Knaus, one of the big things on his radar this past week is they've had some problems on pit road with pit stops. And I know he's been definitely shaking and baking and moving things around with his pit crew.
Boy, this is no place, not in any place, but definitely don't want to mess around with a loose wheel here. You'll be in the wall.
14 different leaders so far. Don't worry if your favorite driver hasn't led, because when Kyle Busch won here last spring, he didn't lead until very late in the race. We're single file. Let's crank it up Dega style.
Trouble off turn.
Kurt
Busch. Same thing it did. Mikey did.
Another great save.
Caution is out.
Hold it right there on the bottom. Dang good job, Kurt.
Man. Yeah, I don't
Track's a little
think
dirty up there.
any contact whatsoever. I think he just, as he just said, got a little high. Here he is right back in here. Gets a little high coming through here. Gets a little close to the outside wall.
Just came around on it.
Goodbye. Right through Mikey. Look at it. Same tracks Mikey took.
And then it's like, no, I don't want to go that way.
You know how fast he was going through there? 190 mile an hour. Drive, drive, drive. Hang on. Brake, gas, spin.
Who I feel like this caution is the biggest break for, we just heard the report, is Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus, that 48 car, thinking that he had a loose wheel.
Jeff Burton will get the free pass to solve his electrical problem. He went 3 laps down. That'll be 2 laps down now. And you see the flat on the left front of Kurt Busch's car. And also in that last shot, you saw Kevin Harvick's car being worked on pit road. Harvick is the first of the drivers involved in the lap 8 crash to return to the racetrack. He's 48 laps down.
And now Casey Kane in the 9 car just came back out of the garage area. We're riding with him here. He's 53 laps down. Just hoping attrition will push him further up in the finishing order.
The way the day has gone, and with the history of this track, they could be a top 20 car before it's over.
That's right.
Three of our rookie contenders are in the race: Max Pappas, Scott Speed, and Joey Logano in the Home Depot number 20 in today's rookie file. Joey went to visit the local Home Depot over in Pell City on Thursday.
It's awesome to get to interact with the fans, come out here to Home Depot. It's funny, I get to do this quite a bit. You know, probably my 5th or 6th tour appearance we got to make, and I get to come out here. Me and Jonas built the car today, and I'm sure we got a few more things we're going to do. I think we're going to work the cash register and do a few different things. So I know I had me mixing paint one time, so I might have to do that again.
Yeah, mixing paint at the Home Depot is a little different than mixing paint out here on the Speedway at Talladega. Right now, Logano is 11th. Scott Speed 31st, Max Pappas 32nd. They are all on the lead lap.
Yeah, he mixes it at the Home Depot. They trade paint out here.
That's it.
But he had a great run yesterday in a Nationwide Series race. Had a good top 5 finish.
Pit road's open, and we're going to have a lot of takers. Bergie.
Well, veteran crew chief Jimmy Fennick has told his driver and his crew that even though others will take 2 tires, he is going to take 4 tires to this car. Reagan having a very good day today.
Grip no issue for Martin Truex Jr. or Dale Earnhardt Jr. Right side tires only for both teams. NASCAR has allowed for the extra man, so they're also getting a tear off.
The call for Denny Hamlin is 4 tires. Meanwhile, right in front, Jimmy Johnson. Track now said if you see anything loose, looking for that loose wheel, carriers, give me a sign. Right now, they're putting 4 tires on the 48. He took fuel only on his last stop.
Yeah, there was no question. They had no choice if they wanted to make sure and get that vibration. If it was a loose wheel, is go with 4.
62 laps complete, just about 1/3 distance here in Talladega.
But right now we're getting ready to go green. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Thanks, Chris. Krista reported no elongated lug nut holes in the wheels and no blisters on the tires for Jimmy Johnson. So if he's having a problem, it must be elsewhere. We're back under green. Earlier, Brian Vickers had 2 wheels below the yellow line as he went past Brad Keselowski. NASCAR reviewed it. They've issued a warning to Vickers, but no penalty.
Well, you know, just to follow up on what Jeff and Chris was talking about, Elliott Sadler, that 19 car running second. His teammate Reed Sorensen in the 43 car is running 5th. Both of those teams had great runs in the Daytona 500. Elliott Sadler finished 5th. And remember, those cars had to change engines and start this race at the rear of the field. All 4 of the Richard Petty Motorsports cars changed engines.
And that's a good call by NASCAR because Vickers in the 11 car were coming up on Keselowski 10 mile an hour, 20 maybe faster than he was going to either run over him or go around him. So that was a good call, good common sense call.
Yes, it was.
33 drivers on the lead lap. Martin Truex, the Daytona 500 pole sitter, hauls them around this 2.6 mile super speedway.
You see right there how you basically run wide open around this racetrack. The miles per hour and the RPM never changes. And normally this right here doesn't change a whole lot. It's normally wide open, 100% throttle.
But if you watch that brake light, now if you're drafting behind someone and you don't want to let up on the throttle, you'll drag that brake a little bit. And I'm not so sure that may not be Jimmy Johnson's problem. You drag those brakes in the corner sometime to keep from running over the guy in front of you. You'll warp that brake rotor a little bit, create a little vibration. Kind of worrisome.
And the reason you don't roll out of the throttle is because with this carburetor restrictor plate we run here, you'll lose momentum, so you just slow it down with the brake.
Yeah, you just lay your left. You got your right foot planted through the firewall. You just use that left foot to tap that brake a little bit to break the momentum down, but not let the engine slow down.
There's a lot of room here at Talladega. The infield is huge. The grandstands are. The racetrack is wide, and the pit road boxes are plenty large enough. Until something like this happens. Here's Jimmy Johnson coming in. He's got to get around Denny Hamlin's crew, and then Brad Keselowski parks in such a way that Johnson's not going to be able to exit.
And there's actually a car in front of Brad Keselowski, the 09 car that had him all but blocked in. You can see Denny Hamlin just barely got out. Now, just about the time the 09 finishes their stop, they start to back the 48 car up, and you see the 09 had to stop. Let Jimmy Johnson go out. Keselowski was blocked in by Labonte. That's called 28 cars on pit road at one time.
But the good thing about here is it's not as costly as it is at some tracks where you can't pass. The other thing is Chad's usually pretty good about finding a spot on pit road. Uh-oh, what's on with the 18?
Kyle Busch in trouble on the back straightaway.
I was going to say about Chad in his pit boxes, he usually looks around who's on either side of him. He usually tries to find somebody he thinks might go a lap down and open that box up in front of him.
But what hurt him is you pick him by how you qualify. He qualifies 36. He had to take what was left himself.
Look at Kyle Busch getting 8,100 RPM and finding a place in line.
I think he just fell back.
They're still going by him, though.
Drifted up in front of his brother and up to the outside line.
Not sure why he would fall back, but maybe he wants to get to the rear and ride a while.
Now the RPM's coming back up.
Oh yeah,
but he had slowed considerably.
So you see something like that happen, it can only be one of two things. Maybe he had an ignition problem, had to switch boxes, lost power just for momentarily, or maybe he just decided he wanted to fall back and see how his car would come through traffic.
I mean, look at that right there. How about 201 miles per hour headed at the end of the back straightaway?
Matt, did he have a problem?
Well, Steve Addington says nothing was reported to him. It looks to him that the 18 of Kyle Busch, who talked about it earlier, just dropping back to the back to ride a little bit.
Well, that's absolutely what he did.
Well, he's picked up his older brother, Kurt. and runs along right back up in the draft, right back up to speed. How about our outside pole sitter, Greg Biffle? There's the 3M4, 9th place. Steve.
Mike, for a guy who has 14 career wins, Greg Biffle has never finished in the top 10 at Talladega. He said earlier this week, I've been wrecked running at the front, I've been wrecked running in the back. The only place not to get wrecked is pit road, and you can't win the race from there. Right now, he is playing it conservative, Mike, just taking his time, staying out of trouble.
That's what he was trying to do in the fall race,
yeah,
late
right.
in the race, until his teammate Carl Edwards got in the back of him over in the middle of turn 3 and 4.
Truex, Sadler, Earnhardt, Sorensen, and Hamlin are the front 5. There you see Elliott Sadler trying to give the one a little bit of a push, and Earnhardt's got a little bit of cushion on both ends. Matt.
And Mike, doing something DW's talked a lot about when he was driving, that's wanting to know about his surroundings. Junior told Tony Eury Jr. under the last stop that he liked the outside lane, but he was wondering why more people aren't using the bottom, and when they do, is that maybe the better place? He felt like for him, the high line was the fast line, so he wanted to stay up there no matter what.
There's Reed Sorensen, the Air Force car right behind. And here comes Hamlin in the 11, Kenseth in the 17 on the bottom.
You know, the easiest thing in the world to do here, particularly, you know, if nobody really wants to run the bottom, is right around the top of this joint. Right up next to the wall. It's pretty easy. No pressure. Put a lot of laps down doing that.
And as Richard Petty used to say, if you're up there, if you do hit the wall, it doesn't hurt nearly as much. Martin Truex Jr. from Mayetta, New Jersey, the pole sitter for the Daytona 500, out in front here at Talladega. 75 laps complete at Talladega. That's Juan Pablo Montoya getting an assist from Dale Earnhardt Jr. Martin Truex got shuffled back a bit without any drafting help, and he's now on the outside 3rd in line, back about 8th place. This is from Denny Hamlin looking back at Matt Kenseth from the front of the pack.
And when you look at right at the back of this group, in fact, he just made a move to the outside. Jeff Burton in that 31 car. This group better hope he doesn't get those next 2 laps back, because he will be a player by the end of the day. Look at him just turn it down with a little bit of help from David Rudiman in the 00 car. He's actually trying to get one of his laps back by driving to the front of the pack.
Definitely got the car fixed, running great now.
Well, Martin Truex was leading handily when we went to break. Elliott Sadler wasn't putting much pressure on him, and that was frustrating Dale Jr.
Ask Elliott why he can't get to the 1. Why he won't get to the 1 and push him a little bit. He just acts like he just ain't even trying to.
So Junior took matters into his own hands, jumped out of line, and went with the pack on the bottom.
See, what Junior knew was he was holding back a whole lot, and he couldn't figure out why they couldn't go any faster than they were going. So that's why he was asking, why wasn't Elliott, is Elliott that slow almost, is I think what he was trying to ask.
And when it all shook out, Montoya, who Junior dropped down to draft with, ended up with a lead.
If you look in the middle of the screen right here, remember that guy that we said something's wrong with his car? He fell to the back and maybe he's got an ignition problem or something.
The 18
he's just
car
playing around.
Busch.
18.
He's
Just came back
his way
up
back
there.
to the front.
But now the fellow who's in second place right now, David Stremme, he may have a problem, Steve.
Yeah, he sure may, Mike. He just told Roy McCauley, he said, I feel like I've got a loose wheel. Roy said, keep me informed. Dick Berggren.
We updated you early in the broadcast about Sam Hornish, who had done a career-best qualifying effort of 4th here, but was ill last night. Hornish in the car is running so fast, he's telling his team that he feels just fine. Travis Kvapil on the box in his uniform may not get a chance to race because Hornish in 3rd right now, having a great day.
I want to tell you, these are some forgiving race cars, because I have seen people sideways look like they were going to spin out as much as anywhere I think I've ever been, and they save the car and keep right on digging.
I think we've had two great examples right here in front of us with Michael Waltrip and Kurt Busch.
It's amazing. And the bump draft, they're doing it in the corners. We know what happens when you do that and you do it too much. You're getting away with it right now.
Paul Menard has become the 19th different leader of this race. He did it by not pitting on this caution. He was last on pit road 24 laps ago. We're back under green.
Menard's been having some pretty darn good runs here lately. I talked to Larry Carter. He says that this guy really is getting better and better, and he really enjoys working with him. Larry Carter's his crew chief.
But the pattern, we've been having a caution about every 20 to 30 laps, and that's what Larry Carter's banking on, because you don't want to have to make a green flag stop here by yourself, or you'll get lapped in a hurry.
We talked about Elliott Sadler being right up there with Denny Hamlin. How about Joey Logano, the rookie, after a strong run yesterday in the Nationwide Series race, and David Rudimann's up in the top 5 as well.
Yeah, you know, I'm not real surprised about Logano, because we watched him all in practice, had a good solid race car. He's been riding the bottom. It's one thing, he's been a bottom feeder ever since we've been here, practice, qualifying, and even in this race today. That car looks pretty good for this young rookie.
And I think we need to remember that team with Tony Stewart won the race the last time we were here in the fall last year.
Dick Berggren.
Well, the advice Logano got from his crew chief, Greg Zipadelli, is do not attempt to lead this race. Why? He's a rookie, and they would just blow on by him. He has been told to stay in the second position or further back and push, follow, learn all day. I don't think Zippy said that he had to do that at the very end of the race.
But you know what? We watched him at Daytona, and he struggled mightily. He hit the wall every time he went out on the racetrack. Daytona is intimidating. It's a hard racetrack to drive. This place here, it's really quite easy to drive. And really, because of that, you can focus more on what you're doing behind the wheel.
I like what Logano's doing right now, Darrell. He's not on the bottom, but he's picked up his mentor, Hamlin. Wherever Denny goes, Joey follows, and the two of them are able to break out front just a bit.
Well, remember practice, we were talking about the 20 and the 11. The 11 was wearing the back bumper, the 20 out. Maybe he says, I'm going to repay you a little bit here, brother.
You know, Tony Stewart may have won the race when we were here in the fall, but the guy that thought he won the race, look at him on the bottom right behind Casey Mears in that 07 car, Regan Smith in the 78. He actually has a bunch of damage to that car from that wreck earlier in the race. So he had some damage to the front end, and here he's banking up there in the top 10.
And the way Smith lost the race, he was driving for a different team than he is now. That double yellow line means no passing. He went below the line. Stewart came down to the line to block. NASCAR ruled that Smith had made an illegal pass below the double yellow line, and instead of putting him to second where he was running at the time, the rule required them to put him to the end of the lead lap, and Tony Stewart got the win. The NASCAR officials take great pains to explain this rule in every drivers' meeting at Daytona and Talladega. The bottom line is, if you go below the yellow line, the double line, and advance your position, you will be penalized. If you are forced down below the yellow line, you'll still be penalized, but NASCAR will consider also penalizing the car that forces you down there.
I tell you what, speaking of bottom line, did you see Jimmy Johnson in the 48 down in turn 1 and 2? He went from the top to the bottom, and Sam Hornish Jr. in the 77 said, you're not leaving me up here. I'm going with you, buddy.
Followed him right down there. Yeah. The 18 they did a lot of work on their car on that last pit stop. Don't know if it's helped him or hurt him.
Now Logano's hung out to dry. The rookie is in the high groove all by himself. Now he's going to get a little drafting help from the back, but he is out of this lead pack.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, who he's getting help from is a car that this group, they do not want to see him get this next lap back. Jeff Burton in that 31, 3 laps down because of alternator problems. He's gotten 2 of them back. Now he's only 1 lap down. Next caution, he'll be back on the lead lap.
There we saw the 18 bunch working on the rear bumper. Now, if that rear bumper cover was off of that race car, it would help it. But that rear bumper cover is tucked up under the back of the car. That's why they keep working on it. Did they get it fixed, Matt?
DW, the biggest issue they had, the rear bumper bar was sticking out a little too far. They were concerned that other cars did not want to tuck up and draft and push them because they thought they might then hurt their car. So they worked, pushed that bar back in, put some bear bond on the back, and sent him back out.
And what Darrell's talking about, the reason you would love to have that rear bumper not there, with it gone, it lets air out from underneath the car. When you let air out from underneath the car, it makes the car run faster. It reduces the drag of the car.
Halfway next time by.
And you know, even though we had that big crash, took out a lot of good cars at the beginning, it hadn't affected this race one bit. These guys are racing just like that never happened. Matter of fact, they probably don't even remember who was in it at this point. They just worried about the cars that they're racing with right now.
Well, we have 33 cars on the lead lap, and there are roughly about 2.5 seconds separating those 33 cars.
Certainly kept the field bunched up because nobody's really lost the draft. You can ride around the back like we've seen Carl Edwards do all day and pull back up when you want to.
Now Denny Hamlin leads the halfway lap in the FedEx number 11 Toyota. We've got a new challenge for all of you watching. It's called NASCAR Know-It-All, and you'll find it at foxsports.com. Keywords Know It All. Answer our questions regarding next week's race at Richmond, and the winner will be announced the following week in Darlington. So if you know it all, we'll make you famous. At foxsports.com, keywords Know It All. Denny Hamlin trying to win a third race in a row with 3 different drivers here at Talladega for Coach Joe Gibbs. To go. On lap 8, 9 cars were taken out in a crash, 5 of which have returned to the racetrack. So out for the day, David Gilliland, Scott Riggs, Jamie McMurray, Clint Boyer, and Mark Martin. That ends Boyer's running at the finish streak of what, 81 races?
I think they're actually still trying to get his car back out on the racetrack.
You're right, Larry.
Yeah.
He's not out. He's off track, but not officially out of the race. Coming back on track with major damage, A.J. Allmendinger, Casey Kane, Kevin Harvick, and Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, to have that big of a crash, to only have actually 4 cars out, 5 cars out, and 1 in the garage area, it's amazing.
Larry, what do you do when you go back out there, your car's all wrecked up, and you're 50 laps down or 40 laps down, and you get back out on the racetrack? You don't want to ride around by yourself, so you might as well have a little fun.
Try to have a little bit of fun, and we've been watching these guys have some
the
fun.
The 9 and the 44, it's like the 9 is trying to teach the 44 what it feels like to bump draft.
And yeah, the 44 and the 9, they're about 3 or 4 seconds off the leader's pace. But they're bump drafting along, trying to make sure they stay above minimum speed so NASCAR won't send them to the garage.
No, they're working together. They're pushing each other. And Larry and I have been watching them just laughing because some laps they never let go of each other.
But this is a battle for position right now between Jeff Gordon and Kevin Harvick.
This, folks, this is the race for 37th place.
You claim we never show the battles at the back of the pack. Here you are.
They are both 56 laps down, racing hard for position. And if Jeff Gordon passes Kevin Harvick, you know what he gets? He gets the point lead back. Right now, he would be second to either Jimmy Johnson or Kurt Busch.
Looks to me like it's a bad weekend to have a yellow car.
But meanwhile, back up front, as we've just crossed the 100-lap mark, Denny Hamlin, that 11 car, leading David Rudiman, David Stremme, Brian Vickers, and Reed Sorensen.
Well, we're going to have a shakeup in the points because Gordon may lose the point lead to Kurt Busch or Jimmy Johnson, and Jeff Burton will likely fall out of the top dozen. Terminator Salvation presents our top 12. These are the drivers right now who would be qualified for the chase based on the way they are running. Montoya, there in 11th, made the big jump this week. He's up 4 positions if he stays up in that lead pack.
I think it's pretty optimistic that it would stay that way right now.
Terminator Salvation opens May 21st.
Based on the way these guys have been racing, Mike, I don't know that we ought to worry about that too much right now.
Oh, this is in pencil there.
Oh, yeah.
And we got bigger racers. Don't worry.
You know what? We still have a long way to go, but in 3 weeks, on Saturday night, under the lights at Lowe's Motor Speedway, we got a little race called the All-Star Race. And you know what? You got 3 more shots to get in it the easy way. I won't say the easy way, but that's win Talladega, Richmond, or Darlington. But I'm looking at a lot of our top 10. That's something that those guys could accomplish here if you could win here today.
How about our leader, Krista?
Well, Mike, Larry was just mentioning the All-Star race. That is certainly a race for the fans. Mike Ford, the crew chief for Denny Hamlin, was mentioning how this is a race for the fans also. Denny Hamlin putting on a great show right now. He's very quiet on the radio. Curtis Markham, his spotter, just telling him which line to take. And right now, Steve Burns, the FedEx Freight Toyota, is leading the freight train here at Talladega.
Hey, Krista, David Stremme doing a fine job. He's in the 3rd position. Remember, before the pit stop, he'd been complaining of a loose wheel. After the stop, Roy McCauley said everything looks fine with the wheels. Just a moment ago, David said, I feel that vibration again, and I feel like it's in the motor. I feel it with my feet.
Well, that would tell me if I mean, that could be an exhaust problem. The exhaust system runs right through the right side of the car, and sometime if a header or the tailpipe or something gets a little hole in it, a little crack in it, it'll make your feet vibrate, rattle around a little bit.
Probably a little gun shy because, as I mentioned, he lost an engine qualifying yesterday.
Denny Hamlin, David Rudiman, David Stremme. Those are your leaders. 104 laps into the Aaron's 499 at Talladega.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that 88 car looks like he's found a friend with Jeff Burton at 31. Jeff is still 1 lap down, but Burton's going to push Earnhardt Jr. Look at the push they're getting through turn 1 and 2. You can see it right there. 197 miles per hour through the corner. Ooh. Actually, Jeff Burton has a hood pin out. You remember they had to go underneath the hood to change that alternator.
I saw that, Larry, but there's something about this race car and 2 cars when they get hooked up.
Now, we just talked about Matt Kenseth hanging out at the back. Look at Matt Kenseth. He is 3rd.
But look at these 2 cars here, how they just can open that gap up. What if this was the last lap of the race? You'd be pretty happy about that.
I mean, look at that. It was about 6 or 7 miles per hour faster than that group behind him. I mean, look how much distance they put in just a lap.
You know what, Larry? I don't think he has a hood pin out. I think they must have opened the hood. The guys that closed it back, the crew that closed it back, they had one in their hand, and they just slid it in there and left the other one, let it hang on the dangle on the cable.
Yeah, you normally have 4 all the way across the front.
One driver who has been hanging out at the back of the pack is Carl Edwards. He's just kind of been within a whiff of the lead draft for about the last 50 laps. Dick, what's that about?
Well, what it's all about, Mike, is that he was involved in that very early skirmish, the big one that happened almost at the very start of the race. And he didn't want to get involved in any of that sort of thing anymore. He doesn't like what he's seeing up in the front, so he's going to stay in the back and try to avoid whatever trouble might occur and then go for it at the end of the race. He has a much better car than he is showing right now.
Well, it looks like that strategy maybe bit Larry Carter and Paul Menard. Remember, they stayed out on the last stop. They've not been to pit road since lap 62. They're having to make a green flag stop. They're going to have to try to hold their breath for about 18 to 20 laps.
Larry, I'm seeing something right now I haven't seen here in 20 years, I don't think. 2 cars hooked up have left the pack.
And they have definitely done that.
Dale Jr. and the 31 car have absolutely motored off and left that pack of cars that was racing together behind them.
They're not we got somebody that just stopped up in the middle of the corner. Looks like Reed Sorensen in the 43 car.
Sorensen was in the wall.
I mean, he did it right in front of the whole pack.
Flat tire.
Got a right rear down. See that right rear tire?
And it looks like he escaped the wall. There's no damage on the right side of that car.
4 tires and fuel. 4 tires and fuel.
He sure got close.
Got close to not getting run over.
No caution for Reed Sorensen. We stay under green, and Dale Jr. leading Martin Truex, Brian Vickers. Jeff Burton is leading this train around, but he's on the tail end of the lead lap. They had an electrical problem, lost 3 laps in the pits, got 2 of them back by the lucky dog, and now he's out in front of Martin Truex, which would put him on the tail end of the lead lap should the caution fly. So Truex the leader. Kyle Busch right back up there. Jimmy Johnson along with Brian Vickers and Kurt Busch.
And we're about 8 to 10 laps away from what will be green flag pit stop.
And Jeff Burton is one of those kind of guys that everybody's aware of his situation. They knew he was laps down. He's also the kind of guy that everybody would work with. You know, cut the guy some slack. I'm sure Truex sitting there saying, you know, we'll let him lead here. Maybe he'll get his lap back.
Well, he is in position should the caution come out to get the free pass. Or right now, he'd just come around because he's ahead of the race leader, who is now Brian Vickers. Vickers to the inside. Dick Berggren overheard that if they could get a long caution and do a little body work on the nose of that car, they could be really fast. Look at the right front of Vickers, number 83. So 121 laps complete in Talladega. Vickers led that lap. Pit stops coming soon. Debris in the back straightaway has put us under caution, and there it goes. Looks like that also may have come off the 78. No, that one got cleared out under the caution. It's not a clear it and clear, even though it is Carl Edwards' car in the picture.
Doesn't matter what it was for Carl. He's very happy about it.
Yes,
because he had lost the draft.
Well, it helps Carl because he catches back up with the pack. Jeff Burton was just in front of race leader Martin Truex, so Burton gets to come back around. He's now made up 3 laps, and Paul Menard will get the free pass.
That wouldn't 3 laps down here. You'd never get them all back in one day like we've seen today with the 31 car. Of course, we didn't have the free pass back several years ago either.
And as I said, I'm not sure these guys are real happy Jeff Burton got back on the lead lap.
Not the way he's been running to get back.
Let's go to pit road. Dick Berggren.
Brian Vickers will pit out of the 3rd position. He has run toward the front all day long after being involved in an earlier crash. They are looking for a long yellow so they can do some body work to this car. Steve.
Kurt Busch says his car is running just a little bit hot. They're going to change 4 tires and take some tape off the right front of the nose, Matt.
4 tires for both Martin Truex Jr. and the 18 of Kyle Busch. Jeff Dickerson was looking at the back bumper to see if they needed to work on that some more. Krista?
Jimmie Johnson saying he wish he could take advantage of the push. Chad Canal said we'll add a little tape for straight line speed. 4 tires. Jimmie Johnson is down and away.
And here they come. Jimmy dirt tracks it, slides it out of the pits. He does not beat Kyle Busch. Now, Carl Edwards did not pit. He stayed on track to pick up 5 bonus points for leading a lap. Edwards becomes this race's 21st different leader. Green flag at lap 127. A long pit stop for Kurt Busch put him back to 17th, and cleaning up some fender damage on Juan Montoya's car put him back to 27th on this restart.
We've got 61 laps to go, so we know we still will have to make at least 1 more pit stop.
All this work is for the keyword anticipation. You're starting to anticipate what you're going to do at the end of this sucker.
Here comes Vickers up the inside. Steve, what happened on Kurt Busch's stop?
Yeah, Mike, they had a slow stop. I heard Pat Tryson tell Kurt Busch one of the tires, one of the wheels got obstructed by a shock.
And there was a miscue on the left front of Casey Kane's car. Crewman went down, and we'll try to get an update on that situation as Kyle Busch brings them around. Here's Brian Vickers, sweeps to the outside, and there's just barely enough room. See if Hamlin makes it 3 wide. Nope, he goes with his teammate into turn 1.
Whoa, man.
Wow. He just barely slid down. That was close.
That was really close. I bet Jimmie Johnson got ready to jump out of his seat.
Go 3 wide, in the middle, in the middle.
Boy, Kyle Busch goes way up top to pick up that draft of Jimmie Johnson and Martin Truex and everybody else.
He's 3 wide by himself right now.
That's right. There he goes. He's the only one I know who can do it. And he does it so easily.
Somebody asked me on our Fox Sports chat the other evening at foxsports.com. Instead of Jeff Gordon, look at Kyle Busch. He's only 23 years old. He turns 24 next month. Is he
a lot of good help with you still here? Keep digging there still.
The driver with the best shot to reach David Pearson's 105 win mark, second on the all-time list? And I had to tell a fella, get back to me when he's got 82 wins in his pocket like Jeff does, and I'll let you know. But surely time is on his side.
Well, that's the perfect answer, too. I mean, you know, Jeff's a lot closer, and he's got not a lot of time, but he's got a good 7-8 years ahead of him if he wants to do it.
See Michael Waltrip in that 55 car up there in the 3rd position. Remember, it was back on lap 42 that he was sideways sliding across the finish line, just barely missing the inside wall.
Well, Mikey and Jimmie Johnson thought they had this. Mikey thought he had this thing won last year here, and the engine blew up late. coming to get the white flag. But Mike, he knows how to run this joint. I promise you that.
You want to do a little high, wide, and handsome 3-wide, crank them up?
Sounds like a plan to me.
Teammates Denny Hamlin in the 11 and Kyle Busch in the 18 both have fast cars. They're both capable of leading, but will they ever work together?
Yeah, but you know, if you're at home and your TV's starting to vibrate a little bit, there's a really good reason, because the intensity level is starting to pick up.
Welcome back to Talladega. 50 laps to go, and Kurt Busch is out front. 44th lead change of the day among 22 drivers. He's got Dale Jr. trying to push him, but Darrell, what's Jr. going to push on?
That's what I said. The 2 doesn't have a rear bumper. Look at no rear bumpers. I guess he's pushing on his fuel cell.
So all clear. Stop by sign your bear back there. You're going to catch these 2 real quick.
Well, he's got the bumper tubing there, so functionally it is a bumper, even though it doesn't have that
middle.
bumper.
Clear low.
Here goes a freight train around the bottom.
But how about David Rudiman in that 00 car? Those 2 Toyotas hooked up together. Denny Hamlin seems to be one of the best pushers that's here today. He's going to push Rudiman to come up to the lead.
Or he's going to push Rudiman, and then he's going to take the lead, and does.
I actually think he was just pushing him out of the way, to tell you the truth.
Rudiman will fall right back in line behind him, but Denny Hamlin will lead that lap.
Well, you can get way out there, but it doesn't really pay off for long. Here these guys come. Probably about 10 miles an hour faster right there.
Another question from Ask.com, official search engine of NASCAR. Who was Ricky Bobby's sponsor in the movie Talladega Nights? Actually, he had several. But you can find the answer at Ask.com and enter the Ask.com NASCAR Challenge at the official search engine of NASCAR.
Casey Mears in that 07 car. He wants to lead to this thing.
He wants to be this race's 23rd different leader, and did it. 45 lead changes amongst more than half the field.
But look at Montoya up there in the 42 car. Remember, they had a long pit stop to work on fender damage. He restarted deep in the field. And in about 15 laps, he's made his way back to the front.
I like the way that's the kind of fender work I like to do right there.
Yes, sir.
That fixed that fender.
Now tomorrow, Casey Mears and Kevin Harvick will completely change teams. Cars, parts, tools, engineers, pit crews, shop crews, crew chiefs, everything but the spotter will be exchanged between those 2 teams at Richard Childress Racing.
It's everything but the spotter and the sponsor.
Yeah, I don't know if I would want to back that 29 car into my new, that'd be my new car I got to work on.
Michael Waltrip in 11.
But Richard Childress just felt like the performance was not there for those race teams, and he didn't really see it getting any better. He felt like I got good drivers, I have good crew chiefs and teams. Maybe I just got them mixed and matched wrong.
He's done it before with good results. Change the chemistry, change the result.
But you know, Larry, we talk about all Talladega. You don't really. Look at Burton from 3 laps down on the bottom, trying to find the lead right here, and he may very well get it. That is a very fast cat car. But, you know, we talk about handling, you know, no big deal here. You better have a good handling car when you get shoved off in the corner at over 200 miles an hour with somebody on your back bumper.
Not since Bill Elliott came from 5 laps down to win here has somebody done it like this. Jeff Burton has just become the 24th different leader of this race, I believe.
You have to admit, Larry, the Childress cars came here this weekend, the best I've seen them in a long time. And, of course, the Ganassi, the engine package they have in the 42 and the 1 car as well, those engines are all producing good power.
And Jeff Burton did lead this race earlier, back before he had the electric problem, back at lap 24. So,
boy, he just about bit that back straightaway wall when Junior swerved into him.
We got teammates to the top. We got teammates to the bottom. We have those 2 Joe Gibbs cars at the bottom. Kyle Busch in the 18, Denny Hamlin in the 11. But here comes Junior with the middle.
It just seems like teammates are starting to really work together, Larry. You got the Toyotas on the bottom. You got the Childress cars up on the outside.
Update from Casey Kane's pit. Sean Ward, the front tire carrier, the car came down off the jack on his foot. The medical crew came over and they've taken him to the care center, but he gave everybody a big wave, and hopefully he's okay. 44 laps to go. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in front. Some say this track is haunted. It was built on an old Creek Indian burial ground. Strange things happen here, and there is one of the strangest. That piece of debris has put us under caution, and you're about to see where it came from. Not off one of the cars, but it is the shade off one of the caution lights.
These cars make a lot of turbulence.
This area was originally known as Talatigi. That was the name of the Creek Indian village nearby. That morphed to Talatiga, and then Talladega is what the locals call it now. But when Bill France Sr. in 1968 announced that with the help of the state of Alabama he was going to build a super speedway, he said, we're going to build it in Talladega. And for everybody in racing, the name stuck.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Now, here's what's interesting, boys. I believe it's going to be feeding time on pit road because we've got about 40 laps to go when they make this pit stop. Everybody can make it to the end on fuel, so any possibility of any green flag stops that are scheduled out the window.
All right, Dick Berggren, what will they do?
Well, Brian Vickers is going to take just 2 tires and not 4 in order to get better track position here. They are going to try to pack the fuel, and he's asked for a little bit of help when he's pushing people. He wants to know how hard he can push them. Steve.
Speaking of track position, Dick, no tires for Kurt Busch. He gets by Michael Walter, Matt.
Dale Earnhardt Jr., he'll lose maybe a couple spots on pit road. They're going to go for 4 tires, so that way they are good to go to the end, Krista.
And unbelievably, Jeff Burton back on the lead lap, contending for the win. A 4-tire stop for Burton. Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson thinks his car is pretty good. They added a little bit more tape and 4 tires for the 48.
And Kurt Busch, with that strategy, wins the race off pit road. Look at Sam Hornish up to second. 40 laps to go in the Aaron's 499 at Talladega. 38 laps to go as they take the green. Kurt Busch, Sam Hornish, Casey Mears, pole sitter Juan Montoya, and outside pole sitter Greg Biffle are your front 5.
Now, Reed Sorensen, he did get the free pass on that caution. Remember, he had the flat tire up in turn 3 and 4, so that puts us now at 33 cars on the lead lap with 38 laps to go.
Big train coming on the bottom as Busch and Hornish have the lead. That was Tony Stewart at the head of that pack on the inside with help from Dale Jr. Boy, a long way to go, but watch out, they'll get there.
Yeah, but Kurt he just left poor old Sam hanging out to dry. He got in line though, but they had a good thing going there, and then Kurt went to picked up the other car. I guess they were faster, probably had to.
Ex-teammates Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart in the bottom lane as Kurt Busch and Casey Mears lead. Watch that train on track 2 down to the inside.
But you know, watching Kurt Busch in that 2 car, I think it's a given how bad he wants to win a restrictor plate race. Remember, he pushed his teammate Ryan Newman to the 2008 Daytona 500 win. I think he's absolutely the best race car driver at restrictor plate racing that has not won a restrictor plate race. Roger Penske's only won 1 restrictor plate race, and that was that 500 with Ryan Newman.
And I think we've seen such a huge improvement in the Penske cars overall this year. Well, all 3 of his cars both his cars are running all 3 cars are running much better. You know, Sam's led. Sorry, I lost my breath there for a second.
Well, you can do that here because here comes track 2. Here comes Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart, Dale Jr., Jimmie Johnson, they're there. In 2 laps, they've gone from mid-pack to racing for the lead.
Well, the games are over. It's all it's down and dirty from here on.
Well, think about Tony Stewart. He hung at the back of the pack for 3/4 of this race. He was one of the cars that did fuel only, and here he is up there in the top 5 with this 14 car, 36 laps to go.
And you know how else you know the games are over, and probably somebody will start to hear from a little bit before this thing gets too further into the year. We'll hear about Carl Edwards, who's been riding around at the back.
A man that lost the draft before that caution before the last one.
So now we'll see if his strategy pays off or not.
Well, here's Carl. He's back at 22nd. Not making a lot of headway. 24th, 25th.
Be back to 22nd and not do anything wrong.
Kyle Busch now with Dale Jr. as they drop Tony Stewart back a few spots.
Now's when you're looking for that magic guy, that magic car that'll get behind you and really make you go fast. Like we've seen 2 cars break away from the field. That's who you're looking for right now.
I think we
like
found
these
it.
2 right here.
Exactly.
I mean, look at the run those guys are getting. Just look at the speeds right there.
And you've got to have a good handling car. You can't run off into that corner at 200 miles an hour and not have a car that you can hold wide open.
BFS, I mean, you're both clear.
That's 6 to 7 miles per hour faster than that other group.
Here they come past.
Millions of fans confused.
34 laps to go. Dick Berggren.
Well, Darrell Waltrip won a lot of races by showing patience, and right now that's exactly what Carl Edwards is doing. He is convinced that the guys up front are racing hard enough that they're going to crash. He's hanging back. When the crash is over, he's going to the front.
Well, he's convinced a few other fellas to hang with him because the 55 and the 7 and a few other cars are hanging back with him.
What'd you hear Chad Knaus say? Millions of fans are confused. It's okay. They got 33 laps to all figure it out. I think it was Chad. It sounded like Chad. It sounded like something he'd say.
Yes, it absolutely does. And that's his man right up there on the high side in the 4th spot in that 48 car, Jimmie Johnson.
And right behind him, Jeff Burton. Krista.
What a day for Jeff Burton. Battery trouble, alternator 3 laps down. He is now up front in that front pack. Jeff said he's always nervous to run here. He's stressed until Sunday morning. But once the race gets going, he calms down. He told me until the laps wind down, and that's when the intensity level goes through the roof.
Yeah, but sometimes being laps down, you just do things that you really didn't intend to do, trying to get those laps back. He needs to play like he's still 3 laps down.
Because it worked a while ago. Because he got one of them back by being in front of the leader when the caution came out.
Exactly.
Now he's in 8th place as 4 cars are trying to break away.
This is no time to go conservative. This is when you lay it all on the line, all in right now.
And honestly, with 33 laps to go, I'm not sure I agree with Carl Edwards' strategy right here.
If he's got a car to go to the front or anywhere near there, he needs to get going because this isn't going to pay. It's not going to pay off for him if he keeps messing around.
33 laps to go. 33 cars on the lead lap. 24 drivers have led this race, but who can lead the last lap? 28 laps to go.
Whoa. Somebody clipped out. See that piece of debris flying back there? It came off of whoever the last car in that group is. I don't
hope it's a piece of tape.
It sure didn't move much, but there's somebody at the tail end of that line right there that clipped the wall.
Well, Kyle Busch is our leader. Denny Hamlin got kicked out of the lead draft all the way back to 20th. And Martin Truex in 3 laps went from 8th to 17th to 26th. Just outside the top 12 that would make the chase for the Sprint Cup. Kasey Kahne has slipped to 13th based on where they're running up right now. Dale Jr. has gained 5 positions through the running of this race. Mark Martin, that early crash, has lost 5 spots. Terminator Salvation come to a theater near you in May.
We've got our top 15 cars. They've been single file. Now the group behind them, they were sliced and dicing, but Darrell, it looks like now they're getting single file. Everybody's single file, and those 15 cars look like they're about to go to about 23 or 24 cars.
Yeah, right now, there's nothing you can do right now until somebody decides to jump out of line. You're going to have to get some people down on the bottom to get anything done right now.
Right now, P17.
Now, the last time this happened in this race, wasn't the same engineer driving the train, Kyle Busch, when everybody lined up single file for a while.
Yeah, and he has, the junior has too. They've been the two sort of the prognosticators of this whole thing.
Now, we just heard Bob Osborne, Carl Edwards' crew chief, tell him P17 basically means you're in position 17. So there's no question Carl is working this strategy, and now he's part of that lead single file group.
Well, now if you say, okay, I don't want to get in a mess, there's no mess right now. I look at it, it's all single file, nice and tidy.
I just don't think it's going to stay this way long.
Well, it can. You know, somebody's going to get impatient. That's what happens to you. You sit there, you say, I'm tired of this. We're going to have to mix it up a little bit. We're not going to win like this.
Let me tell you about a sleeper right in the middle of that pack in 12th place. Joe Nemechek in the 87 came here unsponsored. Didn't know if he'd be able to run the whole race based on finances for his unsponsored Toyota. He did pick up a sponsor after he qualified for the race in fine fashion, and he's right there in the middle of this lead pack, and who knows, may have a shot to win it.
You know, Mike, you and I were talking before our show today that every week there's a lot written, a lot said about the start car. We know for a fact all 43 of our cars that started this race, their plan was to race all day long. Now, obviously that first wreck took out some of them.
Yeah, Joe ran great yesterday in the nationwide race, and he's, you know, he qualified well, and he's hanging in there today. Good for him.
Now, assuming we've had our last stop, let me ask Jeff Hammond his picks for today's AT&T fastest pit crew.
Well, Mike, I've been watching these guys all day, and I'm impressed with the fact now what they've done on pit road with some of the repairs. Kyle Busch's car, Kurt Busch also damaged the rear of that car. That car worked all day long. Got crew worked all day long to get it right. And Dale Earnhardt Jr., this is one of the few races they've been clean on pit road. No mistakes. They've been able to get it done, make the right calls, put the right side, you know, 2 tires when they need it, 4 tires when they need it. Now they got themselves in a great position right now to possibly get their first win and maybe make history by getting 4 wins for Hendrick Motorsports at the end of the day.
Thanks, Jeff. Don't forget to vote for your AT&T fastest and most valuable pit crew of the year from your AT&T phone. Text the pit crew's car number to 2258 to vote.
You know, Larry, I was watching the 11 and the 6 and the 99. They dropped to the bottom back there. We know that 11 is a fast car. They dropped to the bottom. They could not go anywhere, could not make any progress, had to get back up in line. So it's going to take some good fast cars up here in the front to create another line.
Well, Dick is with Carl Edwards, crew chief.
And Carl Edwards right now is running in the 22nd position. Bob Osborne, is the car good enough? Do you have enough time to win it?
Well, we'll have to see if we get any partners out there on the racetrack is the big thing. We've been riding around in the back all day, got a little damage early on, fixed that, but pretty happy with the car. We'll just have to see how it goes.
Okay, we'll see how many cars Carl Edwards can pass before the checkered flag, Mike.
Edwards runs in 22nd. There are 22 laps to go. Kyle Busch engineers the freight train draft around Talladega.
Kyle Busch told you in the pre-race he doesn't always agree with what his brother does on the racetrack. I don't think his brother's going to agree with what he just did.
Oh, no, he left him out. He just left him, man, and now he's going, the 2 car, Kurt is going dead backwards while Kyle got the lead back.
Yeah, this is dirty laundry time here. Somebody's about to get hung out to dry.
They just did.
Oh.
I tell you one thing, that 18 car is determined to stay in the lead. Kyle has done everything. I mean, he's blocked. He's been high, low. Everybody keeps looking around, but they can't quite clear him.
The same group he was pulling around the top of the racetrack, now they're lined up around the bottom of the racetrack. 17 to go.
Well, he went up to block Matt Kenseth. He came down to block Jeff Burton. Darrell, like you say, he's running 3 lines wide all by himself.
Now, here they are once again. Now, watch. They're going to get a run on him. 17's out there, but he's all by himself. Dale Jr.'s going to have to get up there. Oh, he turned him. Yikes.
Truex out of the bottom. Truex can't save it.
Oh, no.
Busch is around.
He tried. He just couldn't hang on to it.
It's us.
Yeah, but it isn't bad, I don't think.
Nope. And Truex
I don't
is
think
kind of the victim
bad.
in this one, but he's okay.
I don't think he's bad either.
It's us. We're coming to you.
You're all right. Come and get your 4 tires. Let's go.
Well, got to stay on the lead lap now.
Be okay. Gets it fired back up. Do all that spinning around.
Got
all
a
that.
starter. Send a truck.
Oh, that's Kyle Busch. The car will not fire. Let's show you how this all got started. Busch in front of Matt Kenseth.
That's just sort of inevitable. You know, block. You can only block so many places so many times. We get down here in the corner. You see the 31 gets in the back of the 18, gets him loose. How he ever got from, how he gets all the way to where he did and not hit anything, I'll never know.
And Martin Truex,
he just
with
checked
Carl
up.
Edwards. He was right in front of Carl Edwards, who'd been trying to avoid all this.
He just checked up a little too much. Down on the apron, down on the apron. Neither car ever got, neither one of them ever got hit, other than when the 31 knocked the 18 around.
I know, it's incredible there's no contact. Now, Jeff Burton had been frustrated with Kyle Busch from where Kyle tried to run him down to the flat a few laps earlier.
This is just some amazing driving.
Unbelievable.
Amazing driving. Montoya.
Wow.
Reagan may have, the 6 car may have gotten to the back of Montoya just a little bit, but I don't think that was bad.
And now we hear that, you know, the 18 has no starter. He can't get cranked. He's going to go a lap down.
You know, the fact that this ended up being just 2 single car spins is pretty amazing.
Well, we've seen that all day, you know, with the 55 and the 2 here in the tri-oval.
Stay high there.
I mean, we've seen some incredible driving by these guys today. 18 got fired up there. He got a push.
Three wide on the bottom. Go 3.
Yeah, Martin
Right
got a boot from David Reagan. That's what started. That's what sent,
here. Keep coming.
Sent Truex down.
Stay high. Stay high. Yellow's out. Yellow's out. Good job, buddy.
You know, nothing intentional. Martin lifted for what was in front of him, and Reagan couldn't react fast enough.
3 wide bottom.
And there's some more bad news for the 18 now that he's a lap down, and we don't have double line restarts inside of 20 laps. That's not going to help him any.
What'll happen next? You just have to stick around for the last 15 laps and find out. 13 laps to go.
Now, Kyle Busch, he'll be all the way behind those 31 cars because within 20 laps of the end of the race, it's single file restart, lead lap cars only to the front. His only hope is a caution before we get to 10 to go, then he get the free pass.
Martin Truex stayed on the lead lap after his spin. Here we go, 13 to go. Matt Kenseth, Dale Jr., Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch, and Joey Logano.
And again, I just want, it's so tempting. You just have to make yourself not jump out of line right now. You've got to get going. You got to get things working out here before you make a move. You make the wrong move now, Larry, you're done.
Yes, sir. You'll not fight your way back now.
A lot of jostling back behind the front 8 cars.
Now, these guys back here, they can do that because they got to try to get up here and get in line.
Yeah, it's those top 6 to 8, 10 cars that they've got to be careful. They got to be on their P's and Q's. But just thinking about Matt Kenseth, he won the first 2 races of the season at Daytona in California, and it has been absolutely dismal for that 17 team since those 2 wins.
Well, so dismal that he ended up in the infield care center yesterday. So this would be a great turnaround, not a great turnover.
Up front, it's a 9-car breakaway, and look who's the caboose on that train. Carl Edwards, who hung out way at the back all day, is now hanging out with the lead draft. But they're going to get caught. Look at the run Stewart's got in that red number 14, and Ryan Newman with Jimmy Johnson. They've caught the lead draft.
Yeah,
it's a breakaway no more.
Jimmy's in big trouble here. He's got to get somebody to hook up with so he can get back up here to those leaders. But when you lose your momentum like he has right there, they just keep going around you left and right.
But remember what 2 cars have been able to do. We've been seeing it all day long. Look at Ryan Newman in the 39, Denny Hamlin in 11. You can see they're 6 to 7 miles per hour faster than Matt Kenseth leading the race.
Well, you know who's been the best at doing that is the 11. I mean, he has been incredible. He's a great pusher.
5th.
Jump up
4th.
there. Somebody wants to jump up there. You watch.
3rd. Here they come to the lead from 10th a lap ago. Newman, Hamlin, rocket past Kenseth.
They're liable to drive away from the pack with what we have seen earlier in the race.
Yeah, and again, you can't not do that. You got to drive away from it. It's not going to work out good for you. Because once you get out there, you stall, and here comes the pack again.
Ryan Newman has 1 restrictor plate win, the Daytona 500.
And it wasn't long after that Daytona 500, Roger Penske asked him to re-sign an extension on his contract. He said, I'm going to wait and see how our performance is. He signed with Tony Stewart at Stewart-Haas Racing for this year.
Hamlin's going to have to pick him up another push. He's going to have to find somebody else to push to the front. Maybe he can get behind, who would that be in that? Wow, look at that. How did Carl get up there?
He was part of that 9-car breakaway at the front, Darrell. Boy, Hamlin is sinking like a rock.
Yeah, you just lose your momentum and there's nothing you can do.
I mean, Tony Stewart tried to pick him up, but Stewart was so much quicker. He's gone around, and Hamlin from the front of the pack headed to the back.
Now, Darrell, all Ryan Newman can do right now is just stay hooked to that double yellow line on the bottom. That's all he can do.
Well, we haven't seen any speed out of that car today, so it makes me just wonder if the 17 and the 88, particularly, and we know the 31's fast, are they just sort of using him right now?
55 lead changes so far, and now that pack that was so spread out into 3 groups is all one draft again.
Boy, did you see Burton shoot out from behind Dale Jr. to pick up that outside line?
But nobody went with him, Darrell.
No.
But that outside line's coming. Look at David Reagan in that 6 car and Tony Stewart in the 14. There goes Burton right up in the front of him. You get a little bump down the back straightaway.
Here we go.
Oh, trouble hard in the wall, Robbie Gordon. And around goes Jimmy Johnson.
Denny Hamlin's involved, Martin Truex Jr., David Stremme. This is version 2 of the big one.
Well, desperate men were starting to do some desperate things out there as the laps wound down.
Like I said, Mike, this is when you lay it all on the line. If you got it, use it.
Both ends for Martin Truex. Robbie Gordon, oh, thank goodness he's moving around in that car, because look how the front stove in as he hit the inside wall really hard. Let's see how this happened.
Back in this pack back here that was jockeying for position. Everybody starts trying to figure out which line they want to go low, want to go high. Oh, Montoya.
Montoya got turned.
Yeah,
he
got turned.
Looked like Montoya was wanting to move around, and when he did, he just got clipped.
There's Mayfield's car in flames, the 41.
Not a very good day for Hendrick Motorsports. That's 3 of the cars that have been knocked out.
Oh, Montoya just got shoved into Bobby Labonte, and just like a croquet ball being sent, Robbie Gordon got shot into the inside wall.
Boy, Jeremy Mayfield going there in the 41 car, he's got a lot of fire coming out of that automobile. Boy, that's a hard lick. That is hard right there. Oh, my.
But you know the great thing? They've installed the safer barrier back there on that inside wall.
Yeah, look at that. Is that Sam Hornish that went up and hit the outside wall?
Yep, and kept going. Let's do some ride-alongs here, starting with Michael Waltrip.
Heavy impact today, hard impact in all these, on the big one and in this one.
Of course, Jimmy Johnson had taken the points lead since his teammate Jeff Gordon, the 24, had problems earlier.
I want to tell you about Robbie Gordon's hit. If he hits another 100 feet down track, he hits the concrete instead of the safer barrier.
Let's see what happened here. Montoya got hit by the 11.
Yep, there it is.
And that turned him a little bit to the left, and then or to the right, and then when he corrected, he got into Bobby Labonte, and it was on from there.
Boy, Hornish scooted through there for a while and then got turned. Let's look back from Jimmy Johnson's car. Looking back at Waltrip. Jimmy gets turned. Pretty hard impact there. And here's what Carl Edwards saw. You know, Darrell, the contact was Hamlin and Montoya, but that really started about 6 cars forward and just kind of accordioned back.
Well, what you do when you're sitting back there, you're watching up ahead of you, and you see a couple of lines trying to form. You got an inside line, an outside line, and you're starting to say, which one do I need to get in? And you start moving around on the racetrack, and you get hooked by somebody.
And we're being told the 48 car will not finish this race. He's going to go to the garage area. There's not enough laps left. They've got a broken upper control arm. So this pretty much will end their day. You can see it right there on the right front. We're also being told that Matt Kenseth had to come to pit road. He had a flat right rear tire.
Now, Kenseth had been the second place car and dropped to 21st just before the caution came out.
Well, this car right here, the 11 car, basically caused that accident. He got into Montoya, or at least he was a part of that accident. Let me put it that way. And he was lucky because he went through the whole thing and didn't hit anything very hard.
We're going to get the restart with 4 laps to go. On the point, Ryan Newman trying to score the first win for what is Stewart-Haas Racing. Dale Jr. trying to win 4 in a row for Rick Hendrick with 4 different drivers. Kurt Busch trying to get back to victory lane.
Not sure what Tony Stewart just did.
Tony's
car, Mike.
Tony's not going. Something's wrong with his car.
Yeah.
He's off the pace.
Not getting up to speed at all.
No. And you see what Dale Jr. was talking about. He's laying he's laying a bumper to that 39 car, trying to get him away from the rest of the pack. But tell you what, that 31 and that 6 and maybe that 20 car, I think they may have a little something for that front 203.
No real big runs yet. No real big runs. You're clear
3 laps to go when they come back. Newman trying to hold the bottom.
And look at our buddy Carl Edwards, who hung around at the back all day. And here he is. He's in the 8th position, right here in the back of this lead pack, in pretty darn good shape. Coming to 3 to go.
3 to go.
8-car breakaway at the front. Still a lot of action behind them, but likely one of these 8.
Larry, this is what you come to Talladega for. You come to Talladega for these unpredictable, wild, crazy finishes.
Stewart just came by, and he's on 7 cylinders.
That's a shame. He had a good shot. He could have helped his teammate because I think he's going to need it.
Now, Ryan keeps allowing, Junior keeps peeking the nose out to the inside, but there's no room there to make a move.
No, and I'm not sure why Ryan is kind of leaving that bottom, just that little bit of an opening. He's going to get a fender underneath of him and shove him right up out of the way if he's not careful.
And I need to know about your runs. I need to know if they got runs. 10-4, he's trying to get back there to the 31, but the 31 doesn't.
Junior wants his spotter to be a commentator and tell him everything that's happening behind him. And then he'll decide where to go and when.
Well, he's got 2 laps to decide.
I tell you, it's working like he wanted it to, though, because here they come. Look at the 99 and
Brad Keselowski.
And once again, there's that 2-car draft. And
they
look at the run. They get off turn 2.
That's 10 miles an hour faster than the cars in front of them.
They'll be coming to the white flag this time.
It's going to get interesting because Junior cannot sit there and run second. This is his best shot at winning he's had in a while. He's not going to run second in this race, I can tell you.
And is Edwards going to get to the front, or are they going to stall out before they get to Junior?
They got that run, baby.
And what's interesting, that's a Hendrick car running second. That's a Hendrick-related car leading the race. And that's a Hendrick-related car pushing Carl Edwards. White flag this time.
Yeah, Carl Edwards from the back all day to the lead with 1 to go.
3 Chevys and 1 Ford. And it doesn't matter now. Your friends are where you find them. And from hanging out back, Carl Edwards.
I'll tell you, I don't know if they can catch him. What we've seen today, 2 cars get that big a lit run on them. I don't know that the 39 and the 88 can catch them.
They're in the draft of Edwards and Keselowski.
He's all over you here, just you and him.
Carl Edwards restarted 8th.
If that 09 can stay hooked to the back of that 99, it's going to be hard to get him. It's going to be close right here at the line.
Can Keselowski try to win it?
I don't know. I don't think he can step out until he waits till the last second and picks up.
He goes to the outside. Is Edwards going? Oh, no! He turns him.
No, no.
Oh, and that destroyed the front end of Newman's car.
No.
Edwards will not make it to the flag.
Oh,
Brad Keselowski won this race.
Unbelievable.
Carl Edwards' car destroyed. And Junior's protege, Keselowski, the winner, and Carl Edwards is moving around and ready to climb out.
Larry, look at that. The carburetor's gone off.
It's completely gone.
Carl did what he wanted to do. He stayed at the back all day long. He played it smart. Had this race possibly won. Not now. Not sure where Carl's going. Maybe he thinks if he runs across the start-finish line, it'll count.
That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
He's like a you know how he is. He's an athlete, a marathon runner. I want to finish the race.
And he did,
yes,
to
he
a
did.
standing ovation from the crowd. Shades of Ricky Bobby.
Don't you know, Larry, that James Finch is fit to be tied right now?
Finch owns this car. He bought it from Rick Hendrick and leased the engine. A whole Hendrick package.
Let's take a look, Mike. Carl Edwards, he opened it up just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think this is a hard lick right into the fence. I mean, that car, that looked like Bobby Allison did here in 1987.
The catch fence did its job, and the car did its job.
Thank goodness we have the new, stronger, much stronger, safer catch fences.
And Newman took a hard hit from Edwards as well. Look at just a car with the room left on the bottom.
What happened here is the 09 looked to the outside. Carl went up a little bit to block him, and 09 went right back to the bottom and clipped him.
You know, the move looked a lot like the one that Brian Vickers put on Jimmy Johnson when Vickers won.
Wow.
But what a hit.
Wow. That is 1987 all over again. Oh, my gosh. And did you see that? I believe it was Biffle that almost T-boned the 99. But watch. The 09's going to look to the outside where he already has. Carl went up to block him a little bit. Now he's going to come down to try to block him again. And you get one shot at it, but you don't get two. Watch this.
What a lick.
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable.
You know, and looking very carefully at the catch fencing that held, and I did not see any debris go into the grandstand. And that certainly is
unbelievable.
It's very gratifying to see. Well,
I knew it was going to be wild. I didn't know it was going to be this wild.
Right here, the three back from him.
This is from Carl's onboard
Looking
camera.
inside, 09.
But Darrell, I want to ask you.
And from Dale Jr.
But Darrell, I want to ask you on air, because I did not see Brad Keselowski do anything wrong there.
No, it was a blocking move on Carl. The 09 looked to the outside. Carl went up to block that move, and when Carl came down, the 09 was there.
Another first-time winner at Talladega. Here's the cool-down lap. Dale Jr. and Brad Keselowski kind of getting together. Junior with a big fist pump, and whoa, Keselowski.
Brad Keselowski didn't see him up there.
Now everybody's going to say that Kyle Busch spun the winner out after the race, but I beg to pardon with you.
Every driver dreams of his first Sprint Cup win, but when that win comes at a venue as significant as Talladega, it is something special. Brad Keselowski, as you pulled into victory lane, I saw your hands were shaking. Can you believe you just won a Sprint Cup race, and you did so at the biggest track of all?
Wow, pinch me. I don't know. Am I awake?
I'm going to pinch you.
How about this team? God, how about that? All them fans out there, man. Thanks for coming. This is the best show on earth. I got to apologize to Carl for wrecking him, but, man, the rule is you can't go below the yellow line, and he blocked, and I wasn't going below it. So I don't want to wreck a guy, but you're forced in that situation. So, but there's nothing else I could do. We had a lot of fun tonight. Man, was that fun. I hope the fans did too, because this is NASCAR racing, and this is cool.
Can you take us through that last lap and the moment you knew you just won a race as you crossed that start-finish line?
Well, I kind of felt bad because I was watching Carl in my mirror wreck hard, and I hope he's okay. I feel bad about that, but, man, that's the rule. He knows the rule as well as anyone else, and he put himself in that spot, and I don't want to wreck a guy, but he put himself there. So hope he's okay, and sorry for that, but what a great Chevrolet. How about that Chevy? Man, does this thing have some smoke. Man, I can't believe it. I appreciate it.
His best finish coming into this race in the Sprint Cup Series, 19th. He is now a Sprint Cup winner. Matt?
When the dust settled, Dale Earnhardt Jr. came home second. You had the perfect seat to watch your protege score his first win. Walk us through what you saw from your seat.
Well, I had to deal with the 39 Ryan to break away from the pack and kind of do what we didn't do yesterday in a nationwide race. And we had it going, and I thought there's no way. You know, we were staying tied together, and there's no way nobody can catch us. And they were smart enough to move up, which the higher lane had been easier and faster and winding the car out better all day. They were smart enough to run in the middle, and here they come. And I couldn't believe Brad was pushing that 9.9. I would have guessed anybody else, but he did an awesome job. I couldn't see what happened on the front straightaway. I was behind the 39, and I was asked Tony Jr. to tell me what to do because I can't see what they're doing up there if I reckon. And he said, stay, you know, they're spinning up the track, stay on the bottom. And it was a pretty hard hit that Ryan had, but I had a blast. The National Guard Amp Energy Chevrolet was running good all day long. It run up front, and I love these fans here. Enjoy watching a race like that, and it got a little boring sometimes in the middle, but man, it's just a long one. We all just trying to stay around to the end. I can't thank my team enough, and I'm so proud of Brad. You know, he did a great job. His family's got to be extremely happy. James Finch, you know, as a car owner, that's just amazing, man. He's an awesome dude.
Can you imagine the party that will be taking place tonight in Panama City, Mike?
Oh, boy.
I'm telling you.
It will never be the same.
Well, Dale Jr. came within one position of being Rick Hendrick's 4th straight winner. Brad Keselowski, in only his 5th Sprint Cup start, becomes Talladega's 10th first-time winner. And yes, Carl Edwards makes it to the finish line.
Run, Carl, run.
Welcome to the Lipitor post-race show. We're live in Talladega where 25-year-old Brad Keselowski with a dramatic victory. Carl Edwards is standing by with our Dick Bergman live. Dick?
And most important is that Carl Edwards is okay. We are going to replay the crash. Please walk us through what happened.
Yeah, first of all, I got to tell my wife and my mom I'm fine. You know, Brad he's pushing, he's doing everything he can. I saw him go high, I went high, he goes low right here. Didn't realize he had got that far, so I went low to block a little bit, and he was already there. So I turned around backwards. At this point, I'm thinking, boy, I wish this was made out of the liquid gel material. And then I'm very fortunate we hit the wall in a way that it didn't crush my roll cage down on my neck, because that would have been a lot worse. So NASCAR just puts us in this box. Brad did a great job. Congrats to him on the win, but they put us in this box, and we'll race like this until we kill somebody, and then they'll change it. But I'm just glad nobody got hurt today. Glad the car didn't go up in the fans and, you know, in the grandstands and hurt somebody. And, you know, most of all, I just got to thank Claret and all my guys. We did that was the smartest race I could run, and I guess we ended up 23rd or something. But, yeah, Brad did his job. We're just racing hard, and lucky nobody got hurt.
So no issues at all with Brad's job?
No, that's what Brad's supposed to do. He's assuming I know he's inside. It was so quick I didn't know he was inside. So, you know, we saw what happened to Regan Smith. You can't go down below the yellow line or you lose the race. So, you know, he's winning, and I was doing everything I could to keep him from winning. But, man, just glad I'm all right. And this is, you know, I didn't know if it mattered if I went across the finish line, but I just wanted to finish the race.
How hard a hit was that?
It's pretty hard. It's just a little bit scary because I saw the ground, and then I hit the wall with, I couldn't tell exactly which part of the car I hit the wall with, and I was real worried I hit the roll cage. Had to wait a minute, make sure that that there wasn't something, you know, stuck in me somewhere or something. That's a little nerve-wracking to hit the wall with something other than the side of the race car. So it's the first time I flipped in a race car.
Ever?
Yeah, that's it. So we got that out of the way.
Well, he made it in dramatic style for sure. We are so glad you're okay.
Thanks very much, Dick. Well, we're used to Carl Edwards doing the flip. That's usually the back flip when he celebrates. And that, I mean, first of all, how decent and professional of Carl, the way he responded. They're obviously shaken up and upset. But you heard Brad earlier apologize to Carl and say, hey, yellow line, I played within the rules. I had to play hard.
Well, this is what racing's all about. I mean, you can take it either way. If you're a Carl Edwards fan, you're probably thinking, well, he got dumped by Keselowski, but the truth of the matter is, a year ago, and when we were here, when Tony Stewart blocked Regan Smith, Regan went below the yellow line. It cost him dearly, almost like the same thing it cost Carl. This is what happens, and this is how close everything is, and how everybody wants it. You can see the damage that was done to the retaining fence. Great job right now by the folks here at Talladega and NASCAR having it built like it is. Otherwise, it could have been a lot worse. I mean, that's crazier than any stunt plane ride I've ever took.
And Carl Edwards did mention he hopes some of the fans are okay. We know there's some injuries down there. They're working on it, and we certainly hope for the best for those fans in that area. As we check the final results of Brad Keselowski's dramatic win. Let's get some final thoughts from Larry, Darrell, and Mike.
Well, they're going to replay this one for a long time, Chris, because Keselowski was 10th with 4 laps to go, 8th with 2 to go, 3rd with 1 to go, and he wins it.
Yeah, it's just, I knew it was going to be wild. I knew it was going to be crazy. I thought that restart would bust them up a little bit, and maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it'd be maybe have a little sanity to it. No sanity today, Larry. This is like Days of Thunder, baby.
Especially
upside down
to
on
10
fire.
laps to go. But
Whoa.
you know, you just think about it. Brad Keselowski driving for that race team, James Finch, Mark Reno. They missed the Daytona 500. They did not even qualify. This is the first year that this team is running the full schedule. They had to go to the rear of the field, changing engines yesterday after qualifying, and here they go to victory lane. So, in other words, make that number instead of 7. It's now 8 guys that have their first win and only win so far at Talladega.
Oh, I think that's what makes Talladega so cool, though, is guys come here and never won anywhere else. They know they got a chance here because they've seen history.
10 first-time winners in all here. A couple went on to win more races. Marcus Ambrose up in the top 5. Scott Speed, and I think they were both outside the top 10 with 3 to go.
They really were. This is just amazing. It's an amazing finish. I knew it would be. It's just crazy.
In a lot of cars, a lot of teams back that got good finishes that been flirting with falling outside the top 35, like Joey Logano, like Scott Speed outside the top 35. They needed good runs, and Talladega's a place you can get it.
I'm glad we got 5 days off till Richmond.
I know. I got a headache.
A wild one, a great one. Congratulations to Brad Keselowski.